Welcome to Warcraft Reloaded, a podcast brought to you by Mash Those Buttons, covering World of Warcraft Classic, now Wrath Classic, and its community. I am Bobby, also known as Blazin' Bob, and as always, we are joined by Melarina, aka Mel. How you doing?
Hi, I'm good.
Good to hear, good to hear. And we have a complete, well, we're missing the goblin, so it's not a complete British invasion, but we have two of the three, and welcome to the show, ScotteJaye. How you doing?
Hello, mate. Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
Awesome, awesome. And coming back after just a week off, we have WillE. How you doing?
Yeah, didn't even have time to miss me. How about that?
Yeah, well, I do notice.
I was like, oh, two Brits. Yeah, like, wow.
Taking over.
Very cool. Yeah, thanks for having me back. Good to be back.
Awesome, awesome. Just to let everybody know, the British invasion comment does not date me. That was my dad's thing that he always told me about the Beatles coming over and everything. So
it does date you. You are old, though.
For anybody that doesn't know, that's refers to the Beatles coming over to the States and not anything prior.
Bob's worried about the angry YouTube comments that are going to come from that.
How rude could you be to your guests?
When you have to say sorry, it's too late.
Yeah.
Oh, man. All right. And all right. So at the top of the show, I like to thank our tank patron, Thick Lizzie. I'd like to remind everybody that we stream live on Twitch, twitch.tv/BlazinBob. That's BLAZZINBOB. We're going to go through. We got a couple voicemails. The number for that is 816-866-1066. No new reviews. Although I did see that we got our first 1-star star, and shame on you for not telling us why and helping us improve. Shame on you. We're going to go through what we've been doing this week. We're going to have the show. The show's going to be a little bit weird today because we're going to start off, instead of the news, we're going to start off with the Cataclysm survey. And then, depending on what time we have, we might not be able to hit all the news, but there's just too much news at the moment. And if we don't get to it, I do apologize, but that's just the way it's going to have to be because there's just too much going on right now, and we just can't get everything in at all times. So I apologize for that. But with that being said, let's go with the first voicemail. Now, this listener left 2 voicemails, but he called back in and kindly left a concise one that wasn't as long as the other one. So I'm just going to play that one. And it's an interesting question that I do have an answer for.
Hey, Bob and Mel, I just left a message, but I have a big issue with keeping it short and sweet. I felt like it might have got cut off there. But just to get to it, when you guys decided to transfer the guild to Benediction, I'm curious to know whether Pegel or Atiesh were considered. Because I play on Mancrick, and with all the server queue issues everyone's going through right now and all the big servers, I hate to see you guys going through it, but for me right now, I don't have to deal with it, and it's pretty nice. But I know you guys really were just gunning for Benediction and Grovulus from what I heard on the show, and Pegel and Atiesh, same situation in Mancrick is what it looks like on Ironforge.pro. Good population, but not so high that they have to deal with the queues. So just wondering if anybody threw that out there when you guys were making that decision.
Okay, so
Wait, can I first just say, yes, we are aware we did this to ourselves. Okay. we all know we went to the mega server and we should have expected this. I can still bitch about it.
Yeah. Well, so the way it went down is I'm not sure anybody did suggest Pegel or Atiesh. Like the cryouts, the majority of the guild wanted Benediction. I, along with a handful of others, wanted Grovulus. Now, you talk about knowing we were doing this to ourselves. I brought up to everybody multiple times, and this was back when Grobulus had 10K people, and Benediction had 28K when we moved over. And I said multiple times, I'm afraid that when Wrath hits, we're going to have a big queue. And I was told multiple times from multiple people, they'll just add more layers. And my response was, I hope you're right, but I just don't know if that's going to be the case. I hope you're right. And like, that was where I was at, because I just didn't know. Like, yeah, we did fine going into TBC, but you have to remember, we were on the largest server, White Main, when TBC launched, and that was 13,000 people. So 30,000 did worry me a lot, and I did say a lot of stuff. Now, I wanted Grob. Grob would have been fine had we not promoted it as the best server and the Holy Grail, and then the server size doubled when pre-patch hit, and so everybody went over there. And so I would have been wrong in the long run, but I think you're right. I think we should have considered the PvE option, because that might have helped us out in the long run. But I think the biggest thing is people that are PvPers in the guild, they also wanted Benediction for the PvP. And the majority of good PvP players are over there. And then the uglier thought is the people that don't like PvP, that might have wanted to buy the weapon from a good PvPer and get boosted, probably wanted to do that too. So,
well, and the people that don't like PvP, it's kind of like going to a PvE server, because there's only Alliance, right? So it kind of worked out for everybody.
Yeah, and so,
but I will say the queues, though,
I was just about to get to that. Yep.
Gone.
Yeah,
we have no queues anymore.
There was a queue Thursday night, a little short one, and then last night, Friday night, there was not a queue the entire night on Benediction. So I don't know if the free transfers are working, or the hype's dying down a little bit and people are taking breaks, or people quit because they were pissed about the queue. But for whatever the reason, we had no queue yesterday at all. So if that answered your question. Anybody have anything to add?
I don't want to talk about queues. I'll be honest, it's a real big issue for us at the moment. Especially with, I mean, so they opened, we're on Thekel, and they opened Jindo, which it's roughly half the queue, I would say, at peak time, but you're still talking, you're in the queue for probably 2 to 3 hours to be able to get
even on the new server?
On the fresh server, yeah. So, but if we go back a week, you was talking 6-7 hour queues.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we were
so
doing. Everybody
was just scared to DC, scared to step away from the computer. And when we're running somewhere in the region of around 325 mans a week, and then I don't know, 10, 11, 12 different 10-man groups. So it's very difficult when you're trying to plan a roster, and then 5 minutes before raid invites, you've got people saying, I was defeated by the queue boss. And it happened to me. I'm raid leading, and I didn't even turn up one of the nights because I think I had a power cut. And then, obviously I was at the back of the queue, and I didn't end up getting on until midnight. I started re-queuing at like 5 o'clock in the evening and got on at midnight. Yeah,
it's horrible. I mean, you get like somewhere between 3 and 5 minutes grace period to get back in and skip through the queue, but like it's really stressful
during that time, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's rough.
Yeah, and so it's
maybe
a big bummer
everybody
at
from
the moment.
Benediction went to play with Scotty, and that's why we don't have queues, and his are still there.
Well, I wish they go back to Benediction. I really don't want them that much.
They can't come. They can't come back.
Yeah, ours is locked. I mean, which is ridiculous when you to say it's a fresh server, a fresh PvP server during the pre-patch, where we've already got last time I checked around 87,000, I think it was. Might even be more than that. I feel like I might be doing it an injustice. It was around 87,000, I think, though. So you're talking. There's a lot of people on here already. Wrath ain't launched yet. A lot of them are going to have mates that they probably played Wrath with back in the day who can't even join the server now. it's bizarre to have a fresh server locked so quickly.
Yeah.
I can't believe how popular the fresh has been, to be honest.
I knew it was going to be big.
Popular. Like, not this big.
I didn't expect the queues. No, I got to be honest. I didn't expect the queues to be quite as drastic. But
yeah, I was looking on that census site. There's more. Last time I looked, it was like a week ago. But there was more people seen on the Fresh as a whole than on any other server.
Wow.
Like, it was the most popular server in the world.
I'm just curious to see if it stays popular. You know.
Oh, it will. I'm fairly sure it will, and I would bet money on it. My only concern at the moment is whether Jindo and Thekkel are going to end up one being Alliance, one being Horde, because
they're locking the sides now.
Yeah,
they're like really trying hard. Like they're just locking Horde or they're just locking Alliance. Like they're trying hard to do what we've asked them.
Yeah, but that's not the case at the moment for Jindo. So you could have a mass exodus on one side happen quite quickly, unless they reacted to it very quickly. But we've already been, because we're one of the biggest Horde raiding guilds in terms of numbers, and obviously, cleared all content week one, blah, blah. I've been farming it since. And we've been talking to all the other GMs of all the guilds on the Horde. Basically, we've got a Discord server just for the GMs of Thekkel on the Horde side, trying to organise ourselves to be like, well, look, none of us want to move. We all want to keep our guilds on Thekkel, but if all of a sudden it started to landslide, we're all ready to move together. Which has been quite nice, actually, working as a group like that. But the problem is we're already underrepresented. It hovers around 60-40, so 60% Alliance, 40% Horde, and it can get frustrating when you're leveling for the Horde. So you could sort of see people moving to avoid queues and people to moving to avoid Alliance, and then you could wake up in the morning and you got 1% Horde faction. You've seen it.
I feel like that's what happened on Whitemane, right? It was like we were beautiful, and then all of a sudden it like started to trickle, and it was just like, oh, we're the only people here now. Like
we were 60-40 until about AQ, and then it was like 50-50 until the end of Nax, and then it went back to 60-40 at the start of TBC, and then it went to 70-30, and then they did the free transfers, and all the Alliance like flocked off, and all of a sudden we're like the like second to last raiding guild on Whitemane as Alliance. We're like, well, we gotta go, I guess. Like it was rough.
That's it. People use Discord, like Scotty was saying. They organize it. It's so organized. This has happened on many servers. It's looking fine. And then one day everyone says we're moving. And you really should do that now, because they can lock a server out of nowhere. If they lock a server when not all of your guilds transfer, those people are going to be mad. Yeah,
you should do it all. Like we did it. We did our last raid night, and then we did a short one, left like an hour and a half left, of like normal raid time, so that we knew everybody could go right then. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, so we all just like had a little like move party.
It was like a party.
Yeah.
And people were like, I saved your name for you. Hold on, let me go get it to you, like. So
the problem with us though is that we span many time zones, because the majority of our guild is ex private server players. We was all on Warmane, we was all on Whitemane. We've travelled around all these different servers together. So we've got guys from your side of the pond, we've got guys from our side of the pond, we've got people from Australia. So it's like it would physically be impossible for us to say, right, be online at this time, we're all moving, and that's what we was worried about. But I think we're just going to dig our heels in and be like, look, we'll ride it out. We've got a sort of a backup plan. So if we did end up as one of the last surviving Horde guilds, we can always pay to transfer to Giant Stalker, which it's a PvE realm, but as long as we're together, we don't really care really where we are.
Yeah.
To be honest, what do you think about this? Like, I found it kind of weird that Blizzard even opened another server, because they could have just said, there's this fresh server which isn't queuing at the moment. It exists. It's the PvE one. Go there. Like, why did they even open a new server?
That's a very good point, mate. Very good point.
People wanted the PvP, right? Yeah. Like, and it felt unfair.
I guess, the whole PvP server thing, but even Blizzard themselves put it in the blue post saying if we open another PvP, it's going to mess itself up, because it always does.
Yeah, and you've got people who say they want PvP, and then all they actually do is moan about being ganked. So it's like, if you actually don't like PvP, like you say, just go to the PvE server, because looking at it, It's only got around 60,000 in total, so I have got it open now. And then if we was to look at Feckle,
that they open another one. They should. I full on would have expected them to say just go to the PvE server. It's not queuing. It's a fresh.
Yeah,
we don't need another server.
And it was too close to the pre-patch ending as well. You know, launching it with like only a couple of weeks. It was weird. I thought it was a very bizarre decision to make.
I saw a bunch of people saying, "Oh, I've already invested this much time. I've been sitting on queues for hours and hours, and now you have a new PvP server." And they've already got a character on Feckle. They're not happy about it, but
they were pretty quick.
Mad that there's a new server at the same time. I don't know. I think they should just said go PvE basically.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's in the news, but they did open up transfers, so you could go fresh to fresh now, like the old fresh server to the new fresh server.
You can, yeah.
They just did that recently. So there's at least that.
You still can't transfer from non-fresh to fresh, though, right?
Yeah. No, you still can't do that. They just opened it up, like just from that server to the new server.
But in my opinion, they always miss the mark. So that's well, I gotta admit, I don't agree with it. I don't agree with the transferring between fresh servers at all. You know, no. But if they was going to do it, I think they should have only opened it for Alliance. You know, at least use it and try and balance, you know, Feckle straight away. So it's 60-40. So allow Alliance to move, let it balance out a bit, open it to both, let it balance out a bit. You know, they could, yes, it takes a bit of work, but is that not what they get paid to do?
I think that might be what they did, but I'm not sure.
They 100% did.
They haven't, no.
100%.
I don't remember what servers it was on, but they did specifically lock Horde and Alliance on a couple different servers, like I saw, like recently.
Pretty much the first guild to move over to Jindo was one of the big Horde guilds. Even though, Horde is the underrepresented faction. So that's what I mean. Yeah, it's ludicrous to even allow that to happen.
Right.
Okay, so all I'm seeing, so it might not be EU. All I'm seeing is there's free transfers from Sky Fury to Angerforge. So maybe those are the NA ones, right? That's the only one I'm seeing currently. Oh, wait. No, it does. Okay, it does say. It doesn't say it in the blue post I'm seeing here, but I don't know. Maybe Wowhead didn't put both EU and NA blue posts up, but they claim that it's happening from Feckle to Jindo also.
That's right, yeah. But it's not faction specific. It is literally just anyone can move. So literally, as I say, because we're organising ourselves, and we could literally move a very big majority of the Horde today.
Yeah,
if all the guild leaders were like, right, we're going to go. I know we'd lose, and that's another reason I don't want to go, because we will lose some people, because some people are not going to want to go. You know, they've started on Feckle, they're enjoying Feckle, and I would move as a last resort. Yeah. I like the server we're on.
Yeah, I get it. All right, well, thank you for your voicemail. That was great. The next one really doesn't have a question, so we'll just play it real quick.
Hi, Mel and Bob. This is Bellrock from the 8th server. And I am so happy I found you guys. I am listening to your podcast, and I'm enjoying it so much. I listened to the tank special you had for Rat the Lich King, and it helped me so much. Keep up the good work. Please keep these podcasts coming. I do a lot of driving for work, and I put on my AirPods and just burn through these podcasts. I'm catching up on some old podcasts of yours, and I love what you guys are doing. Please keep it up. The only problem I have is I want more, maybe 2 a week, maybe 3 a week, but seriously, keep up the good work. I really, really appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you.
Listen,
2 or 3 a week.
He said Mel Bob, so he's my favorite. You know, he got it right. Said Mel first, so.
On the basis he's a regular listener, can I ask him a question? Do you mind?
Go right ahead.
Is there a reason you haven't got speakers in your car and you need to use headphones? Just wondering, like a genuine question.
If he drives for a living, he might drive like a truck that doesn't have like the hookup for a phone or something, you know.
I don't think that's a thing anymore.
And if he's
like, I don't know. I didn't realize I went asleep last night and woke up in 1990.
Well, say he's a UPS driver and gets out a lot and drops off packages, you know, and wants to keep the conversation going as he gets out. You know, I don't know.
He hasn't
Just
met
guessing.
the Amazon driver in our neighborhood that just blares the music so loud that he can hear it from the car to the doorstep.
Oh, you can hear it like 2 blocks away. Like he's just jamming out.
Oh man!
Maybe it was a secret AirPods ad.
Snuck one in there.
Got him.
He's got an affiliate link in the voicemail.
Oh man, that's great. That's great.
Man.
All right. Well, thank you for your voicemail. You can send those. You can call in at 816-866-1066. No new reviews. So, what's everybody been doing lately in Classic besides sitting in queue?
Go on, Willie.
Yeah, so I did a little bit of raiding. I've now seen what the raid content feels like post nerf, and holy crap, it's easy.
Oh my god, it's easy!
Wow, it's easy. You absolutely just walk through it like in a straight line. You just like, but just yeah, it's incredible, really. Not just because I guess the content gets nerfed, but our characters get so much more powerful and mana efficient, and you just feel like there's less time waiting and more time just playing the game. It's really nice.
Well, and then the new food and water too that just fills you up immediately. Sorry, I just had to throw that in.
Yeah, and I've been playing Demo Lock, which I've been loving. Yeah, thank God it's more than Shadowbot now. I mean, there's a fair amount of Shadowbot in there still, but geez, it's good to actually play a class that, you know, has a bit more to it, because it's been Shadowbolt for since 2019. You know, I get that tattooed on myself somewhere now. A picture of Shadowbolt. R.I.P.
What have you been? What specs have you tried? I've tried Destro. That's all I've tried of the lock so far.
I'm going to be the guild's sort of dedicated demo lock, so all in on it.
You've been working on
loads
that
of
one.
gear for you.
Yeah, that's it's a good position to be in. So yeah, you get a fair bit amount funneled. Other than that, I've been leveling a lot. I leveled a DK to 70, a rogue from 60 to 70, a hunter from 60 to 70. I've started another warrior because they're just kind of fun to play, and they're level 20 something. And then I also think that's everything. I kind of level to make gold as well. That's what I do. It's not the most efficient, but I just like it.
Nice.
I did too.
Yeah, that's me.
I will say I did miss Circle of Healing. I went disc in the pre-patch, and I missed Circle of Healing in Sunwell when we were doing it. I kept trying to use my Circle of Healing button because I haven't been playing my priest a lot. And I'm like, oh yeah, penance. I got all these new spells.
Yeah, I mean, actually, the thing about leveling's not bad for gold. Because it doesn't count any of your gold that you've collected from quests or looted when you log in. It's sort of from the moment you start playing the pre-patch. And I think I got about 3,000 gold from quests and looting on the DK, and that's without selling anything.
Yeah,
just solid.
Yeah, and like also, once you hit max level too,
for achieving Soul of Iron on the Season Mastery server, which I don't even have a level 60 on. I just logged in one of my alts and it's like, congratulations, Soul of Iron level 60. I'm like, what?
What's Soul of Iron?
It's leveling up to 60 on the seasonal server without dying.
Interesting.
I don't even have a 60 on the seasonal servers.
Well, good job on that achievement.
Yeah, achievement for it, yeah.
It's impressive.
Oh yeah, Soul of Iron. I've got that on 2 hardcore characters. Okay.
I was like, oh, okay, cheers. Yeah.
Well,
I worked hard for that one.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Thanks.
What about you, Scotty?
I've just been spending far too much time on WoW. Obviously I went fresh, so I leveled my paladin to 70. Done that I got to 70 and cleared all tier 4, 5, 6 in the first reset. So I can't remember what day it actually launched, but we've done all of that before reset. Nice. Been obviously cleared somewhere and everything as well. Been farming those raids, but it was quite fun. So like Will said, with going in and everything falls over, absolutely 100% accurate. But it was quite fun doing Black Temple with 25 fully green characters. That all of us just freshly dinged and all going in and replacing our Nagran questing gear with tier 6. Yeah. That was cool.
It's gotta feel good.
Okay.
Yeah, that was cool. Obviously, big gold. We've got one glaive in the guild so far, the offhand. Yeah, Mincy's got the offhand. was very lucky. But and we had back to back. We had 2 raids go in on Wednesday, like side by side, and had 2 skulls drop as well. So we've been getting really quite lucky with loot, I must admit. I mean, my prop palette is stacked. I've got Muramasa, I've got Bulwark of Azanoth. I don't care that it's not Biss. It's got Biss look. It's the best looking shield you can get. Exactly.
It does look good.
Yeah.
I think we got our
full
first healing mace in Sunwell. First one. Haven't seen it drop yet. Finally dropped. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's been a lot of fun. But I've had to do all my professions. Everything. I've been farming achievements, farming ridiculous amounts of gold. As in, obviously, I had to get dual spec, epic flying. I want to be able to buy Dark Moon Car Greatness and the Traveler Tundra on day 1 of being 80. So I've just been living in dungeons or playing the auction house, which has been working out really well. It's just, literally, I've just been living in the game. I couldn't tell you the last time I actually logged off.
Yeah,
it's because there's a queue. You just can't log off.
I'm not allowed to log off, or I'll be in a queue. Exactly.
He sets an alarm to wake up and jump his character and go back to bed.
If I could hook a camera up, which I could show you. I'm currently sat here with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 accounts on. I've got 6 different accounts online on Theckle at the moment. No one's getting in the game before me. All right, I'm not leaving.
Oh, that's great. That's great. I've been doing pretty much the same thing. I've been doing all kinds of stuff. I've been trying to kind of split it up, I've got one of my characters cooking and fishing is maxed. But I split that up, I'll do 75 points a day on each of those things, and I'll do a couple achievements. I've been just trying to split things up, and I've just been doing a ton. I've been raiding a ton, been just living in the game, basically. I did take a day or 2 off where I just took a whole day off to just kind of get stuff done in real life and stuff. But yeah, I've just been doing all kinds of stuff and loving every minute of it.
Can I tell you the one thing that I've done, Bob, which I absolutely loved?
Yeah.
When I was leveling fishing, as soon as I was high enough to go to Sketis and try and get Mr. Pinchy, I sat there for about, I'd say 4 hours-ish trying to get it, right? Wait, it gets better. It gets more exhilarating than just trying to get Mr. Pinchy. I got it and spammed it in guild chat, as you do, really happy. And I thought I might as well finish the fishing pool off. I got it again. 2 back-to-back casts, got Mr. Pinchy twice.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Oh,
yeah, I was really, really pleased with myself. I was that pleased with myself. I've got I use the Camlink Pro, and so if anything happens, I can just press a flashback record. I recorded it, and I've watched myself fish Mr. Pinchy up about 40 times. Just going, hang on, did that happen?
Always do that again.
I had the opposite thing happen to me. I was doing the last part of fishing on my rogue, so I was doing it in Sketis. And this DK kept coming to my fishing holes and fishing, and he would fail half the time because he was water walking or something, and he'd keep getting attacked, and I would keep getting the stuff. But one of the times he did it, and then he sends me a tell, Mr. Pinchy, and I was just like, turd.
Get out of my fishing hole, dude.
Yeah,
fishing hole.
Yeah, we would come second every time and just try and just cast right in the ones that I'm doing just to irk me probably. But yeah, it's funny.
Have you been abusing layers? I assume you got loads of layers. Have you been abusing that beautiful mechanic?
A little bit here and there, yeah, for different things. But
we only have 3 or 4 usually, though.
Yeah, it's usually it's usually 3 or 4.
We had 13 or 14 the other day. Yeah, which is good. When you're farming, especially if you're in somewhere specific, to just layer hop between and just then getting everything again. I was doing it when I was in Sketis, just layer hop in and then getting a fresh bunch of pools, fly around, get them, layer hop. It was pretty chill.
What's crazy cool about exploitable about the layers is the layers open up if just one area is really packed. So if you have Stormwind, it opens up another layer, but that layer is open across every land. So if you're in a place that's not getting farmed much, like say you're in Skedis, trying to get fishing holes, you get the 4 that are there, layer hop, and there's 4 there also because nobody else is doing it, and it's the same with other stuff too. So like the layers could be really beneficial, just depending.
They can also really bite you in the butt, right? Where you're like, oh, this is so frustrating. Somebody layer invite me, and you get there and you're like, never mind. Can I go back to the other one? This one? It's way worse.
If you're far ahead, though, layers are so OP. Like on Wrath launch, when you get the later level zones and you're really far ahead of everyone else, if you are, then definitely a lot to be done there.
Yeah,
100%.
What about you, Mel?
Nothing really. I was out of town. I mean, I've done some dungeons, and then we raided Sunwell. That was fun during the Chiefs game. That was not fun. It was like the most intense part of the Chiefs game too, right? Like the Chiefs didn't let me like glide like they did the week before, where it would have been like, yeah, okay, they got this, I can raid. No, it was like the whole time I'm just like, oh God, oh yeah, I need to heal somebody. Okay, it's fine. They're fine. Watching the game. And then after that, I think I helped Bob with some of his dungeons because he begged. And I said, fine, eventually. That's about it.
Yep. Well, there's a ton of other stuff that I'm sure all of us have been doing, but we'd be here for hours trying to tell you everything we have done. So we're just not going to do that.
Give you the cliff notes.
All right, let's move into...
Bobby, we need to have a talk about this World of Warcraft Classic. Do I look like I know what a WoW token is?
All right, so this week we're doing discussion first, and basically Blizzard put out a Cataclysm Classic survey, kind of like the Wrath one that they put out when TBC was launching, and everybody who listens to the show knows that I'm not super high on Cataclysm. There's a lot of things that I didn't like, so I wanted to get guests on that, for the most part, enjoyed a lot of Cataclysm. I want to have multiple points of view so that we can kind of hit hopefully the majority of people's opinions, and kind of everybody can maybe get heard through this. So,
and I'm here because I don't remember Cataclysm at all.
Yeah. Mel's so lots of this stuff, she'll remember it as we mention it. She'll be like, oh yeah, but like she really just doesn't remember it very well at all. So it's kind of a good it's kind of a good mix. But we're gonna go through these different things. Everybody knows I want Classic Plus. I want them to branch off and make a whole new thing. Maybe reuse some of the dungeons, but just make a whole new timeline, an alternate world. But that's not what we're going to talk about today. We've talked about that before. We're going to talk about Cataclysm and the survey. And yeah, let's just jump right into it. Some reason at the very start of it, they just ask, they must have only sent this survey to well, they didn't even put EU, now that I'm looking at it. They put US, France, Germany, China. Like, do we know if there was a separate EU one sent? Like,
yeah, there's American, then there's like 1 or 2 European countries, and there's China. That's pretty much the entire world, right?
Yeah, where is the UK?
Everybody's covered.
Enough. It's so
we don't matter enough.
Yeah.
Well, and then they asked,
they've got ScotteJaye and WillE in the UK. They didn't want to get a chance that they might get the survey, so they said, just ignore that.
They definitely didn't want me getting the survey.
Well, then they go on to ask how old you are, what's your gender. Then they ask what type of devices you play on, whether it be PlayStation, PC, smartphone, Xbox, tablet, Nintendo, yada, yada. And just like we talked about this the last survey, because I got it. Depending on some of these answers you pick, you get different questions. And so this one right here, if you pick these, then you get different questions for those different, you get like how many hours do you play on them and different things. And then I'm just going through these top things quick because like we don't really care about them, but I'm just kind of giving people like.
Well, I think their motivation here is like
they're trying to get a lot of information.
They're like, how much money do you give us on Candy Crush, and is that going to pay for whatever you want us to do in WoW Classic? Like.
Yeah, they ask,
hi, we're owned by Microsoft now. Can we hurry up and get WoW out on console?
Yeah,
which I would like farming on the couch. I wouldn't want to raid on the couch, but farming on the couch would be something special, I think.
The Steam Deck has changed my life. I honestly, I would recommend it to everyone. I buy so much rubbish, like gimmicky stuff. I bought the VR headset, which, I don't use it hardly enough, but it was fun for a couple of days. But the Steam Deck, it got me through pre-patch. I can't sit in this chair for 20 hours. I was laid on the sofa, laid in bed. Being able to play WoW mobile and it be that good is next level. So yeah, give me it on the Xbox. I'd be all for it.
Yeah, me too. But
until you're in a raid and you realize somebody's on a controller and you're like, whoa, there's limits here.
You imagine Mythic Plus and Rito if it was cross-platform, be like no controllers or something.
Oh yeah,
must send picture of mouse and keyboard to be invited.
Yeah. I healed a 25 man. I healed a 25 man on the Steam Deck, and it was absolutely fine. Yeah, I had to use Voodoo, but it's got a touchscreen in it, so I was using Voodoo and just having it assigned to short press. Will be like shield. Then if I hold the left trigger and press, it will be renew. It worked really well, surprisingly. But yeah, on an Xbox without a touchscreen, I don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean, Xbox is, I believe you can use a mouse and keyboard now. I'm not sure. You can on PlayStation.
Yeah, I've seen people replace their gaming PC with Xboxes. Yeah, and they literally just have it hooked up to monitors, mouse, and keyboard in the Xbox. The Series X is a powerhouse.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's pretty. Yeah, if you can get one, like, I've been trying to get a PS5 forever now. I don't think it's going to happen. But they go on to ask like what types of games you play: racing games, shooters, sandbox, open world, yada yada. Then they talk about what game franchises you play. And they talk about Elder Scrolls, Diablo, Final Fantasy, The Witcher, StarCraft, Fortnite, Warcraft, Overwatch, Elden Ring. And like it's weird because I don't know if they mean World of Warcraft or Warcraft. I assume just Warcraft because it's a World of Warcraft survey, but I don't know.
It doesn't ask you which ones you play. It specifically says which ones would you never want to play.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. How many people do you think answered that one wrong?
I don't know. Then it asks, like
people really hate The Witcher. That's so weird.
Then it asks, what have you ever played? And what's your there's a whole bunch of just extra stuff. Like I'm just gonna kind of skip past this. So then we get to Cataclysm, and it goes on. It first asks, after Wrath of the Lich King, would you like to see what would you like to see them do next? You actually can like type in what you want specifically. But that was interesting. I wonder how many people read through all of those, but a little weird. So then they start to ask for your feedback in Cataclysm, and it's just how familiar are you with the original release? Extremely familiar, very moderate, slightly not familiar at all. I think ScotteJaye said he was very because. Drinks too much to be extremely familiar.
Yeah, no, I'm extremely familiar with it. I've played Cata private servers. I know a decent amount about Cata, and I've done a lot in Cata. Look, we had server first on literally every raid. I got server first on my rogue as well as in realm first 85 rogue. I did get banned for 7 days afterwards, but we won't talk about that. True story.
And WillE, you're pretty familiar with Cata, right?
Yeah, I'd say, it was a long time ago. I haven't played Cat private servers, but I played it a lot when it was the current expansion. But yeah, it was in 2010 or something. So, a while ago. I'm not going to remember everything. But yeah, I did play it a lot at the time.
Okay, then they go through the different features that were added. Now, should we just go through these one by one?
Yeah.
Sound.
Okay. So changes to player versus player. Now this was one of the examples was 5v5. Arena format was removed. Now, do you guys like this? Do you guys not like this?
I'm not much of a PvPer, I'll be honest with you, so it wouldn't matter to me too much. But Go on, mate. Sorry.
Yeah, ditto. The only use for 5s at the moment is to lose games to get PvE weapons.
Yeah,
that's like it's not competitive. There's so few people that really play it properly. So few.
Yeah, the only thing I would miss is that it was the best way to get points because for some reason they give more points for 5s, and so we just do 10 games a week, and like we would win at least half or a little more of them, but
I do feel like 5v5
easy way
allows less competitive people to play and enjoy it, right? Because it's kind of that one group of people that the really hardcore people aren't playing 5v5, they're playing 2v2 or 3v3, right? And so you kind of get matched with, you're not going up against these great players all the time, but I don't play enough. I don't care.
I just feel like it's super. PvP is just so explosive in WoW when you put a lot of people against each other.
Yeah, and
if you watch 5 games, they're over like fast.
Which is it's kind of the beauty of it for casuals, because I mean, and it's kind of funny. Like you get 5 mages, and you're like, okay, but it's kind of funny. I don't know. I don't see the point in removing it. Like that's where I stand on it, but I don't see. It doesn't bother me that much that they remove it, but I just don't see the point in taking it out.
They probably Index had bad participation compared to the other brackets back then. These days, I wager it has better participation because people are more oriented by goals such as gear and so on. But there'll be a lot of people in there who'll play 10 a week.
Right.
I don't know. Why don't all arena brackets just give the same points? Is there?
I don't know either.
Yeah, I don't know either.
The thing, I agree with what you said though, Bob. It's like, what harm is it leaving it in the game? Why remove it? If hardly anyone uses it, it's already there. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. I would say I'd be fine with them making it the same points too. But yeah, that's I'm kind of here nor there on that one. The next is changes to professions, and the example that they give is removing specializations in leatherworking, blacksmithing, and tailoring. So no longer having armor crafter, weaponsmith, or the different types of cloth that you could make.
None of that matters, does it? Let's be honest. I mean, it's removed in Wrath practically. All right, it's still there, but it's got no meaning. The only profession with a specialization that matters is alchemy. Nothing else, literally. It makes no difference whatsoever.
Yeah. I mean, the only one in TBC was Lionheart or Storm Herald, wasn't it?
Those were the reasons.
Tailoring too, yeah, true.
Yeah, tailoring was a little bit, but
in Wrath, it's like you just, even if you wanted to swap, which they don't really matter that much anyway, you just go pay 150 gold.
Yep.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, it gives a little flavor, but they
made it more important. I care about it more.
The professions in Cataclysm are actually very good. That people could read into that as a negative, but it would be the people who would read into it as a negative would be the people who don't understand the professions in Wrath. Because as I say, you might as well say that specializations are removed now, because they really are. And to be fair, like Will said, they practically was removed after phase 2, let's say, of TVC, because once people stopped using, you know, like the shadow frost, shadow weave, cloth, whatever, you know, all the tailoring sets where they were like redundant now. That didn't matter anymore. Yeah, and once your weapon had gone from blacksmithing, that didn't matter as much. Obviously, that did last a lot longer, don't get me wrong. But in Wrath, it's different. If you want Titan Steel Destroyer, you can make it as an armor smith. It just doesn't matter.
Well, and then also, correct me if I'm wrong, they're all like BOEs now, and you don't have to actually have, you know, a certain amount of that profession to use it, you know, like.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
So.
Just buy it.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, so the next one is Raid Finder, and I'm a hard no on this one. Like, I'm a hard yes on looking for dungeon. Raid Finder, I keep trying to explain to everybody, is completely different. In my opinion, it's the top end of the game. Like, you need to go out and it needs to be hard to get into it at least. Like, it needs to have a little bit of difficulty. That's my opinion on that. How do you guys feel about Raid Finder?
I'll go last because mine's going to be quite controversial.
I mean, for me, it's look, if we're not getting LFD, there's approximately 0 chance there's LFR. I can tell you that right now.
Right.
Like absolutely no chance whatsoever. But yeah, I don't like it, and the weird reason I don't like it is basically it's too hard, which sounds weird, but content that can be purely done through pugging should be incredibly easy to the point where you can just blast through it. If I, in any capacity, want to do something with a group, I'd rather do it with something organized and consistent. And like Wrath Heroic Dungeons are a good example of correct balancing for puggable content. They're too hard. They're generally too hard for an unorganized group with people that are constantly joining and leaving to be able to get through in any amount of time. And you have to do them because the tier set's good and they make old gear relevant. And it just fast tracks you to endgame content, and it makes people feel as though they've, you know, seen the entire expansion through, when it's like a shallow imitation of what raiding should be. It just, wasn't good for the game. Ghostcrawler even said in a Q&A when he was working at Riot that he regretted putting it in the game during his time working at Blizzard. And I think the idea behind it is good, to try and get more people into raiding, but the manner in which it does it is just wrong all over.
Was it popular when it came out?
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, because it was a new thing, you know, like, and everybody was like, oh, this is going to be great. And they just didn't realize the cost of it once it continued on.
I guess I just feel like if they brought it out right now and it was a brand new feature, right, and we had never heard anything about it, they brought it out right now, I don't know anybody that would use it consistently, right? Like, we've all already made our guilds and have consistent things. GJKPs, I think, are more effective for getting through content quickly, and I just feel like
the problem,
this doesn't even give you a system to sign up. Like, you sign up by role, but do you have anybody that is going to lead the raid? Do you have anybody that actually knows what they're doing?
Well, it's so easy, you don't need to. That, like, it's like a dumbed down version of it. And from what I've heard, like, lots of the gear turns out to be like, oh, you still want to do this every week on top of your other raid stuff, because, like, it's just going to be better gear for you. I do
think we should tone down the saying it's easy, because I don't agree with that at all. I've been in many LFRs where they physically cannot kill the boss, and the LFR will fall apart, reform. Yeah, I agree. I agree completely. You'll have to refresh my memory, because I'm no like big time retail player anymore. But what was the final boss in BFA?
N'Zoth.
Yeah, that trying to kill that in LFR was ridiculous. As in, I probably sat in there for about 2 hours while the group people would leave, new people would join, they'd leave, new people would join, and it was like that until it did eventually die. But actually, LFR, can be it can be tough. People still need to have a basic understanding of the mechanics, depending on what boss you're doing. Right. But my general thoughts on it is, I get why it was added. I don't like the fact that in MOP, for example, when you needed to get tablets to get your legendary cape, you would go and if you was on an ult, that's basically what you would do. Instead of raiding on your ult, you just do LFR, because even LFR had a chance of dropping the tablets. There should be no reward if you want to put LFR in. There's no need to not include a system just because people say they don't want it there, as long as there's no reward. So technically they could put LFR in as a bit of a playground, if you like. You can't get gear. There's no loot because that is what people use it for. You go into, you ding whatever expansion you're in, you ding max level, and you normally just start then doing all the LFRs until you get the appropriate item level, because it is restricted by item level. You can't just ding and queue. And then you try and get all the LFRs done, because it's an easy way of gearing an ult. And I would argue a fairly fun way of gearing an ult, actually, if I'm honest. But at the same time, I'd remove all that. I'd just leave it in. People can go in there to practice mechanics. So new players who are not confident with the fights, they can actually go in and sort of see the fights with other people that are not confident with the fights. And that's what I mean. My view on it is going to be quite controversial, because I would actually put it in. I've thought about it a lot since I put a video out covering that survey. And I just think if you strip all requirement to use it out of the game, but have it included as a feature, then there's only going to be a specific player base that actually use it, and it has no effect on player power, no effect on anything.
Yeah. Well, something I kind of wanted to bring up, I was listening to Countdown to Classic, the most recent one, and a guy came on there, and he kind of tried to say that LFR is no different than DKPs. He's saying there's no community in GDKPs, and I have to disagree with that completely. Like, before I ran multiple GDKPs with the same group, and the group was like 10 to 15 people that run it every time. And then, yes, we had new people come in, but that's still a community, and it's still done in game, and it's still, it's still a much cleaner run, because people are held accountable via logs, and if you gray parse, you don't get paid, and there's a lot that goes into that is straight up community, whereas Rainfinder doesn't have any of that and can be cross server and fall apart constantly, yada yada. So I don't think that comparing the two merits any justice. But
I mean, I'm not the big, you know me, I'm not a fan of GDKPs, but the whole point of them is being consistent. You run them with the same people every week if you can,
right?
And then you bring along a couple people with a few gold. You're
going to carry along.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. That's
the point.
Yeah, it's pretty clean.
Just on top of that about LFR. Obviously, I wouldn't be in favor of having it how it was in Cataclysm. But yeah, I think the idea behind it of trying to get more people into raiding isn't necessarily a bad thing. What Scotty was saying about removing rewards is probably decent, but I don't know if anyone would actually do it. Like, it'd just be dead content.
I think you'd be surprised. I think you'd be surprised the amount of people that would want to just go and flex in there. Yeah, no, I would. Yeah, I'd go in there. I enjoy raiding, and I didn't need to do LFR. So this is not me backing the LFR system, by the way, because I'll be honest, I don't care whether it's there or not. That's the bottom line. I don't really care. If it's there, it's there. If it's not, it's not. I don't feel as strongly about LFR as I do Random Dungeon Finder, because I truly believe Random Dungeon Finder should be added now. But with LFR, I used to run through, fully BIS geared monk, say, during MOP, and just running in LFR with loads of scrubs and carrying. It was great fun.
Now you say that, I used to do that in Siege of Orgrimmar, my Resto Druid. We're raiding Heroic at the time, really geared character. I go in there and I'd tell other people not to heal and go DPS, and I'd try and solo heal it.
Oh yeah, exactly. So you found fun in LFR still?
Yeah, I did do that actually.
Interesting.
And that was really fun. Like, my God, Resto Druid was good and MOP. But the other thing I was going to say about LFR is a lot of people say it's story mode, or, I want to see what happens here. We kind of already know that, but I kind of get what they're saying at the same time. Imagine if it was literally a story mode, right? You queue up, You go in, there's Thrall giving you a voiceover at the start of Dragon Soul. Is like the heroes go into the Dragon Blight. There's a big elemental dude. You hit the elemental dude for a bit, he loses some health, and then you get like phased over to the next boss. And it's literally like a story where you're just playing along, and you could have other people there at the same time. You just hit the boss for a bit, and then it phases. And then at the end of it, after you kill Deathwing, there's this is a very rough idea. There's something that pops up on the screen that says, now join the guild if you want to see the proper version. That's the story.
So a bit like a scenario.
Yeah, it's like it's literally story mode. You know,
interactive cinematic.
You know how they put the statue in Dalaran to show people the story of when the Lich King fell. Why didn't they do that in the future? Like that was it. That was the story, and it was in game.
Yeah,
and they just never did that again, kind of thing. So I think there are some other ways you could explore it, but the main problem is with LFR is it. Apart from like not being a proper raid or whatever you want to call it, is it cuts away a lot of the early game gearing. You kind of have to do it, even if you have a decently leveled character, and it's frustrating to have this constant rotating door of people you'll never see again come in, and you're just waiting for determination stacks to go high enough to where you can beat the red bar until it's dead.
Right. Yeah, I do agree. As I say, that is precisely why I would remove rewards completely. I mean, you could have some incentive, like it might be decent gold, or that drops from the bosses or whatever. But yeah, not incentive enough. You should always be able to go and do something else to make more gold, or just a little bit of something. But yeah, there shouldn't be like emblems it's actually points, isn't it? In Cata, it changes from emblems to points. But yeah, I don't know. For me, as I say, I told you my view would be controversial because actually, if it's added, I'm not going to be angry about it. And if it's not added, I'm not going to be angry about it. But please add random dungeon finder. I get people moan at me on completely unrelated videos. They'll watch a video about, I don't know, a paladin gold farm, and they'll comment saying, stop talking about random dungeon finder. I find a way to get it in. I'll be like, right, so you want to pull these mobs, AoE them down. Yeah, make sure you're keeping yourself healed. If they added random dungeon finder, the game would be better. Make sure you eat before we get to the next pack.
I get it
little bits here and there.
Just weave it in.
I do get it thrown. I throw it in there too. And what's funny is this isn't even the change that I most dislike. We don't want to give any spoilers, but we'll get to that. And any longtime listeners should probably know. But any last thoughts on Raid Finder? I mean, I don't think no reward sounds pretty good. Like pretty good to me. Like. Or just no
I do agree
gear.
with Will as well, though.
Yeah.
As in, like, well, then is it, I see the negative side to even my own idea. Removing the rewards, then will anyone do it? I think
maybe
that's
just
a really
different
valid
rewards,
point.
Like.
If you don't expect anyone to do it, then.
Well, and
like an arena, why is it there?
Why is it? I didn't realize it was a different raid. Like it was a different type of raid. Why not just put it in and keep it the exact same, and then it'd be almost impossible to do the raids
would lock you out if you did it, lock you, so you could do that or with your guild type of deal.
Yeah.
By the way,
tuned random dungeon finder, that'd be cool. To heroic difficulty, the hardest.
None of you guys have played old school RuneScape, have you?
No, unfortunately.
Just
I know a lot about it.
In the chat or watching. They have raids in that game, and they're like scalable, so you can solo them. You're not always meant to be able to solo them, but people are good at the game, so they can. And there's literally a story mode for the game where you go in, you'll talk to some guy, you'll learn about the boss, and then you go fight a very, very toned down version of the boss solo, and you can complete the entire raid like that, and there's no reward.
Yeah.
It's a pure story mode. They could do that in WoW. I think it works quite well.
Yeah,
cool.
I like that. Even that, or somebody mentioned just giving like blue gear. Just don't give any epic gear, right? Like just make it so it's like, hey, you can go do this and you can get some gear that's but
yeah, the equivalent to doing some dungeons, basically.
Yeah, but it still gives you a little bit of motivation to do it. Maybe, I don't know.
No, it's a good shout.
Yeah, maybe make it only 10-man. I don't know. I don't know.
Just throwing things out here.
Yeah. But any last thoughts before we do the next one?
Nope.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next one is minor quality of life changes. For example, AoE looting, improved flight paths, spell alerts for procs, ammunition no longer taking bag space. That sounds kind of good to me. The improved flight paths, I don't know if I want to get to the point to where it's like retail, where you're flying in like a warp. I don't know how to, like a light speed thing. I've seen it. I've never done it, but I've seen it. Like I kind of think it's cool. Like that's why I have it for the background of the show when we do it live is, you know, flying through the land and seeing all of the cool stuff that they made, you know, like I do kind of like that.
There's no reason it should take me 6 minutes to get from this place to this place because it goes like around here and over here. Like, cool.
It shows you all of the stuff.
Yeah, I've seen
it's
it all.
about the journey, not the destination.
It's not.
No, I'm joking. I was being absolutely sarcastic. No, like for me, you could talk to the flight master and it literally teleports me where I want to go. That would be much more convenient. I couldn't care less about flight paths, to be honest.
Oh God!
I just think it adds to the flavor of the game. That's what I like about it, and it makes the world feel a little bit bigger. And you get to min max. You know, the smart people like me always have a mage to send them wherever they need to go, you know, so
you'd rather portal and skip it. Sorry, Mel, but you yourself have literally just contradicted yourself.
But that's the whole point. I like the fact that I've like put in some extra work to have this extra, because I don't even like mage. I just have one to port. Like I worked him all the way up just to port, and like, you know, and to be a tailor bot through through TBC. But I think it's cool that I have that capability, you know, and like it's my workaround that I have done rather than it just be for everybody, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I do get it. Most people hate it. But
listen, they keep taking things out of your bags, which is great. I still don't understand why I still have my Hearthstone in my bag, though. I just don't understand that. Why has that not moved to my spell book? It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it should be everybody's belt buckle at this point. Like you should just, you know, fasten it right there, and then you just hit the button, you know, and then you're gone, right?
Yeah.
Or on your boots, you know, like Dorothy's boots, you know, from Karazhan, where they've got a Hearthstone effect. That'd be nice.
You know,
true.
Tap them together and say there's no place like home.
Yep. But yeah, other than that, I
AoE
mean,
looting, good, right? I don't see
nobody's upset about AoE looting, right? Like nobody.
AoE looting, it's like, yeah, it gets more relevant as expansions go on, because more people go back and farm stuff. Saying that, Paladins have been farming huge, you know, like dozens of mobs at a time for forever and ever now. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's I don't know who's like, no, not
God, please don't give me AoE looting.
We all know, like, okay, like whatever.
Sorry, this is the classic community. I think you need to remember that. Trust me, someone will complain. You are ruining my immersion into the game by me not physically clicking on each corpse. I'm not even joking. Someone will complain.
I guarantee you.
Use Electrics Plus to speed up looting. Uninstall.
Done with this game.
There will be people that are like, well, you're just getting rid of the tech of me having to move a smidge like right after each loot to make it 1 split second faster.
I think I've said on here before that you know, people, you know, everyone throws the slur around, especially to content creators, where they say like, oh, if you want that, go back to retail. They say that. With all the things that I actually want for Classic, I sit there and I agree with them. They go back to retail, and I'm sat there reading the comment thinking, maybe I should. I mean, the guy's got a point, because I want all the quality of life things, but in Classic, you know, I want to play Wrath, but I want all the little things that do work really well, like AoE looting, like account-wide achievements, like account-wide mounts and pets. Because why you're not going to go and farm Baron Rivendare's mount on multiple characters. If you do, you've got far too much time, more than even me. You know, but you also at the same time, when you create your ult, you want to be able to, you know, benefit from that mount. So it's like, you know, all of that. Give me it all.
Yeah, well,
and I feel like there's all these conversations.
They should have put the toy tab in the game and the early one.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So that was a free win, both of them.
Yep.
Yeah,
especially the heirloom one.
Tabards too.
These things that don't change the game, other than just quality of life, like it's just easier to do to have your bags like this or to have pet tabs and stuff like that. Why does anybody care so much about that? Like, why is there such a stigma against, like, I don't like where retail's at right now, but it's not because they have a damn pet tab. It's not because they.
Well, and that's what I have to tell people. Like, I don't like retail. I'm sorry. Like, I'm sorry to you guys that do like it. I apologize. I'm trying not to bag on it. But that I like a lot of things that are in retail. Like, just because it is retail does not make it insta bad for me. And that's just the way that I feel. Like, I was the guy at the start of like Classic being like, why in the heck do we not have dual spec? That was the biggest problem in Classic ever for PvP servers, because nobody besides rogues could be in a spec that was good in PvP and PvE. Maybe mages, but like it was really crappy for warriors, for instance. Like Fury Warrior was just, you were a rogue with nothing else. You were just a rogue damage. Like, and PvP, like I just would walk by, die, come back, res, keep walking, like, and yeah. So just because it's retail, I don't think makes it instantly bad, and that's something I have to constantly like explain to people.
So the example I give a lot, and it's always an example that does get a lot of flack, and I understand why. I understand why what I'm about to say will upset some people, maybe even one of you, hopefully. But, you know, the systems they've got in retail that can work, there's no reason, like what they normally do is put a retail system in that's good and find a way to make it rubbish. You know, so the pet battle system that was added in MOP, I quite like pet battles.
I would love to try it out.
It's good. Well, it's just something different. But the way they ruined it was by giving player XP. There's no need to get player XP from doing pet battles, because now that makes it. I'm not going to say like it's the fastest way to level, but actually for a period it was a very good way to level by doing pet battles. So. But I'd have no issue with him Wrath and putting pet battles in so pets actually have a bit of meaning. It'll create another sort of mini economy where people are actually buying pets for more than just achievements, but have no reward. You don't get player XP. Like, you know.
Yeah, you can literally.
Things that you don't need to do.
I think we did talk about this on the show when you were on one time, Scotty. Like, you could do things like. Allow players to play for pink slips, you know, like, and so you're playing to lose your pet, or people would just gamble. Like, you don't need to add crap into the game that gives everything. Like, that's what's so cool about achievements, and what's not cool about the retail borrowed power stuff that you have to do, you know, to like stay competitive. Like, you want stuff that's just extra and just fun, and people will find a way to make it fun for themselves.
If they started giving like necessary rewards for different achievements, I'd be pissed. I'd be like, I don't want to go do that achievement. And they don't need to. People are into the achievements without it, right? Like,
and feel good about it.
Yeah. And they don't even need to add achievements. Oh, sorry, go on, Will. No, go on.
Oh yeah, I was just saying that the pet thing in MOP, I got really into that.
I did.
I actually really like the pet system in Mists of Pandaria. Yeah, I made a lot of gold off it.
Yeah,
I do a tour of the world. I had a 2-pet system for all the legendary battles, and I'd level up with the pet tree and the hat and stuff. The safari hat, you get 1 or 2 pets to like from 1 to 25, and then you sell them on the auction house, make money. Yeah, did that a lot.
Exactly. It was a great mini economy, something that you didn't need to do. You know, there was no one turning up to a raid going, oh shit, I haven't done my pet battles today. Yeah, it's irrelevant.
Pet battle bar.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm going to be late. I need to fit my pet battle in here.
Yeah, and like I never got to do it, but I listened to the instance for years after, off and on, for years after quitting WoW, just because, you know, I wanted to stay connected a bit. And like they talked about the pet battles, and I was like, man, I always wanted that. That would be so cool. Like, you know, and that sounded neat to me. So, you know, those types of things I don't mind, as long as they're just extra. I want extra. I just don't want extra I have to do. That makes sense.
Right.
So it's 7 new zones. talking about like Mount Hyjal, deep. I don't know what this means. Do you guys know?
Well, they add new zones when
wait,
Kata.
Okay, Vashia, Deepholm, Alden, Twilight Homes, Molten Front. Molten Front's a zone. I guess they can get away with that.
Yeah,
I call that Hyjal still.
I mean, I don't
know if you can allow that calling it as kind of is a zone. I don't know. I wouldn't like if I was counting the zones. I would have probably forgot Torbarad and not even mention Molten Front.
I don't remember any of them, man. I remember the water leveling zone because of the seahorse.
Yeah,
and I was like, thank God they gave me a mount. I'm not a big fan of the underwater stuff, but it definitely was better with the mount.
I mean, does anybody say, no, I don't want new zones at all? Like, if you don't want new zones, I feel like you don't want Cataclysm, right? Like, you don't.
Some people like zones to like change, like in the like regular world and stuff, maybe.
I'd be more mad about that.
I don't know. I don't really have a feeling.
On to that in a moment, won't we?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Yeah, that's coming up here somewhere. Rated BGs. Rated Battlegrounds. This sounds awesome to me. It includes more classes and specs in hey Scotty, we're talking about the rated BGs now. This
I love RBGs.
Like this seems like a no-brainer. It includes more classes, more specs than Arena does. Like it could be really fun. Like I don't see a problem with that at all. I kind of like it in Wrath, to be honest.
Yeah, I really did. That's the one form of PvP I did used to do a lot of, actually, because we used to just do it as a guild in full PvE gear. And yeah, it used to be fun. A competitive battlegrounds like that with a ranking system and all the achievements that they added as well for specifically RBGs. Yeah, it would be ludicrous not to put it in.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they could put it in Wrath. I'm not the biggest PvPer, but I don't know. It just seems like a good thing. I guess there's no downside, really.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I would. That one they've got me on for them, sure. What's funny is I've read through all of these, and like, you know, it's funny how many of them I don't mind. It's crazy, and I remember minding a lot more in like my old memory of like when I quit. But like something that was interesting, just a real quick thing. Scotty said something in his video that made me really think about the different times in WoW that I got burnt out. And he said one of the things he hated about Cataclysm was one of the raids taking a year. And I thought to myself, well, that's kind of like what was my problem at all the different times that I burnt out in WoW. And that was like, it just took too long to get to the next thing. And I got into something else. And you know, excluding BWL Classic, the Classic route has been pretty damn great for just getting me into the next thing at a good time and like keeping me invested. And maybe Kata will be different for me because of that reason, because I did quit during that long time. And I can think about that. And I think, well, maybe it will be different, because I was pretty positive I wasn't going to play Kata, but now I'm leading a lot towards probably am going to play it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big benefit of any Classic expansion. There's millions of people that have played WoW over the years throughout all the expansions, and a lot of people are going to have their favorite bit of the game, like maybe a like Nighthold in Legion, or the Timeless Isle in MoP, or Throne of Thunder. A lot of people love that raid, or you want to do the Molten Front again. And with Classic, you can the content's there. You just pick a date when you think feels good to roll it out, and there it is. No need to wait a year or a year and a half, which legitimately happened at the bunch at the end of a number of expansions, like Kata, like you're saying, Dragon Soul was like a year. Siege of Orgrimmar was over a year. The end of WoD was over a year.
Well, Chad even points out ICC too in Wrath.
Yeah, see, I mean, there was Ruby Sanctum. I don't remember there being a year between ICC and Ruby Sanctum, if I'm honest, but there very well could have been.
Yeah, I don't. I quit like.
I mean,
TOC.
I think they added Ruby Sanctum because they're like, this expansion's taken a while, huh?
Yeah.
Give them something to do, and then they just didn't bother doing that again. They're like, waste of time. Just focus on the expansion. Don't put in some crappy raid.
But ICC was so big as well, wasn't it? You know, ICC was a big raid. Dragon Soul wasn't really a big raid. Was there 7 bosses, if I remember rightly? Something around that? There wasn't that many.
Yeah, something like I think that's about right.
Yeah, there wasn't too many.
Was it 12 or 14? It's a lot, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean you got 4 wings. Yeah, and yeah, it's a big raid, but Dragon Soul wasn't. And I really believe that all of our opinions. Well, not mine. Mine won't. My stance won't change because I do want Cata. Like I genuinely do. I remember having a great time on Cata. The only thing I remember was just really not enjoying Dragon Soul after the 50th clear or whatever. You know, actually, as an expansion, it's fantastic. There's a lot of good changes that they could make, which I'm sure we'll discuss as we go through. But I'm a fan of Cata, and I don't think people realise actually what they'd be missing out on until they try it. I just think the problem is everyone remembers the bad part of it, which was the longest part of it, which was the end.
Yeah, well, it's when I quit and literally never came back until Classic. I came back for 15 minutes in MOP and saw what they did to the talents and logged right back out. I got that free recruit a friend level 85, and then just like I looked around for a bit, was a little bit overwhelmed, and then looked at my talents and was like /quit, and that was it. Yeah.
I'll be honest. I think Firelands, when you think about the raids, like putting Dragon Soul to one side, Firelands was probably at the point it came out one of the best raids they've ever made. I know that's that could be controversial because some people might not have liked it, but having a boss where depending on what leg you DPS determine what direction he moved in, to then make him walk over volcanoes, like what a fantastic mechanic. Killing Major Domo and Rag again. Firelands really was an amazing raid. Say that again, mate. Sorry.
Let's resort with a whole flying phase as well.
Exactly.
Stuff in there, really.
Feral getting their fire cat from Major Domo's staff. Like, there was immense things.
To be honest, I'd love to go back and try and kill Prina Heroic Rag, because that fight was really, really hard.
It was hard. Cata was a hard expansion. That could be what people didn't like.
Initially, I did not like that because the 10-man, so I had a bunch of real life friends that all played the start of Wrath, and we had a real good time doing 10-man raids and Wrath at the start. Then they all quit, that was what they did. They would come back for the start of stuff and then quit, and then I'd go on to a big guild, and Mel and I and her brother would go on and raid hardcore, and that's what I wanted to do in Cata. And we came back, and my poor friends that were super casuals could not make it through those 10-man raids. It depressed them. It depressed us. We're just I liked having the 10-man raids as friends and family raids rather than, strict. I think that comes
I feel
out
like it goes back and forth. It goes back and forth all the time, though, right? People are like, I want harder content. And then you give them harder content and they're like, whoa, this was too hard. What are you doing? But I think at this point, we're all different gamers, and there's so many resources out there that I don't think they're going to give us anything that's going to be so hard that people are going to quit over it now, right? Anything from the original.
No, but I do think, and it could be one of us, could be all of us. You wait. If we get Cata Classic, you wait until we go from, farming ICC and Ruby Sanctum and all of that, and then we all ding 85 and we go into that first heroic dungeon and try and AoE it all down. You wait until the reactions that there will be, because trust me, the heroic dungeons were next level. I remember the first one we done was Stonecore, and I shit you not, we was in there for probably, I'd say 6-7 hours trying to get through it the first time, working out what you needed to CC, what you needed to interrupt. When you did, you couldn't overpull. If you overpulled, if you got an extra pack, you're dead. It's as simple as that. It was a real challenge. And so were the raids.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, I mean, the heroic dungeons at the start, it was the only expansion where at the start of it, I did the achievement for the mount with a guild. I was fortunate to play with a good guild at the time. So the achievement early on was genuinely really hard. Like, I remember it being very difficult. Maybe we weren't as good back then. Perhaps.
No, it would have been that difficult.
But yeah, it was like some of the achievements, like Dead Mind's Heroic, didn't mess about.
Yeah.
Some of them were hard.
Yeah. Well, I just did want to point out, like, after going through these, I didn't realize how, like, that the majority of them I really don't mind. But the next one is like collections and user interface. We already talked about that, like having your cosmetic items, mounts, pets, tabards, all in one little tab. You can kind of go through. With the amount of stuff I have in my bank, like, I'm all for that. Like, it's a lot, and yeah, I think we're all kind of on the same page here on that one.
Yeah.
The next one is class design changes. Now, I don't remember. I played a rogue, and I remember it being fairly similar, like for combat.
I mean, is there major reworks, or are we just talking like
these guys would answer better?
There were some things like hunters went from using mana to focus. Warlocks don't have soul shards in their bag anymore. It's now a resource, right? That was
yeah.
I mean, hunters using focus makes sense.
Power for paladins.
Oh, holy power's Kata. I thought it was Mop. I never.
I thought holy power was Kata.
I don't know, actually.
Because you get zealotry as ret, don't you? The final point was zealotry as ret, and I thought that retained all your holy power. Let me just have a quick look.
Well, I know priest had to change.
I very vividly remember that being in Mop, and I was like, oh god, I hate it. That's why I remember it, but maybe I just didn't play paladin much in Kata.
I remember holy priest had a change for stances.
Okay, yeah, cool. But yeah, there's a lot. I think that one of the big things that people always comment about with Cataclysm class change is the talent rework. Okay, everyone hates the talent rework apparently. So just as a reminder how it is at the moment, so you've got the huge talent trees. You know, you can put points wherever you like. You can build some absolutely god awful mess of a spec if you so desire. That's fine. That's up for you to decide. In Kata, the talent trees are squished down to being 31 points, and you pick your specialization at level 10, and you're instantly given a signature ability. So Enhancement will get Storm Strike, Demonology Warlock will get the Fell Guard, okay, and so on. And you're also given a mastery at that point in time, which you won't have any. You won't have any mastery. That's like a new secondary stat that's added, which just increases the effect of whatever it does. So Warlock's mastery will increase their pet's damage. And then when you pick that talent tree, you have to go 31 points into that tree before you can explore the other two. So you're kind of locked into spending the majority of the points in that tree, and it's not really as flexible. And so that was the major change that was made with it, really.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of people...
I like the Kata talents.
Yeah. The thing I want to bring up about it is the reason that Classic and TBC and even Wrath talents are so good is it's not because we have a big UI. It's because they changed a lot. They did class reworks all the time. They did them on major content patches. They did them in between stuff. They changed things. They reworked things. Nowadays, you know what your good specs are. If you play the game a lot, you can probably tell me what your good specs are for your class and where your talent points should go. So I kind of get not liking the change, but at the same time, it's like people know where the talent points should go. It's just a different UI, really.
Well,
I think there's still some theory crafting though that happens now, right? Like I do think that there's some of those people out there that are able to kind of look at these talents. They know the class really well, and they mix things around rather than the standard, like this is what every, discipline priest should have, right? They've got a couple talents in a couple different areas. And I like that. It doesn't sound like, I think this is a happy medium between where it goes after this and where it was before, right? They had to do some sort of consolidation, because just adding 1,000 more talents every expansion, I think it's going to get way overwhelming and allow way too much error and changes and things that they can't predict. And I wonder if that's part of it too. Balancing the classes becomes very, very difficult when you don't know what the player base is going to come up with that could be overpowered or something, right? Like they could randomly come up with this thing that they didn't think would ever happen, and now all of a sudden warlocks are the most powerful class, and now they have to figure out how to balance that.
Yeah.
They did make them more meaningful as well. That's the thing. It was that, like, when you really, like, the reason I like the cat talents is if you compare them to Wrath talents, they've added some cool stuff, don't get me wrong. Like, for a paladin specifically, getting Light of Dawn is amazing. I like the holy power system for paladins personally, but it might not be to everyone's taste. But when you look at the talents there, they've removed the 1% crit and it takes 5 points to get it. Or, mana reduction by 10% and it takes 5 points to get it, 2% each rank. All they've done is stripped out the shit that no one really cared about anyway. Do you not find it really irritating when you're leveling a character, you ding 10, you're like, yes, right, time to get talents, and you get 1% parry? Or it's just so pointless. You're like, I could have lived without that, to be fair.
Yeah.
It's not like that in Cat.
Yeah, that's what people say. They like getting something every level. In Cat, you get something every 2 levels, but it's something interesting. The whole point of the mastery system was to consolidate all these little percentages into a stat. That was why it was made. That was the point of it. Just to take all that stuff out of the tree, like your 5% dodge, block, parry, all of that. That's now block mastery or whatever it's called for prot warriors, which just increases the chance you block, and they aim to get on a similar level.
Yeah.
Why do you think they made the choice to restrict you to one tree before allowing you to go to the others, right? Like, what's the benefit of that?
I think it makes their life a lot easier.
Yeah.
Basically. I think that's for balance.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I think it's because you get because the talents are more. My personal opinion would be because the talents are more meaningful. You could do some crazy shit if you could go anywhere, like quite early on as a warrior. Like, I've got the talents up now, as a warrior now, being able to get blood craze from Fury. So, you're constantly getting some healing and then taking, War Academy in arms. So you've got more damage from Victory Rush, which then you can heal, and increasing healing received from field dressing. You could literally, because they're more meaningful. If you could go between the trees, I think you could do some weird stuff when you're leveling, which, don't get me wrong, that could potentially be fun.
Right.
Oh yeah, it could be so much fun if they remove that restriction. They're just like, yeah, okay, see what happens. And then we'd end up, after like a week, people with spreadsheets on Discord would have come up with some absolutely insane stuff, like a mage that, I don't know, like just blows up everything 30 yards every 10 seconds or something.
I honestly think that would make it so that the people that don't want these talent changes are good with these talent changes, right? Like, I think the majority of people are like, this wasn't like a horrible change, but I think there are a good amount of people that are really upset about it.
Yeah.
So
I think, honestly, the majority of people don't know that you have to pick 31 talents in a tree before you can swap to the other ones. I would be surprised if they did. I think people don't like them because it's smaller and it feels like you've lost something.
I don't know.
Big is always better, right?
Big is always better. Well, I just think that I think these
how you use your
aren't-
talents, not how many you have.
I reckon it's just people feel like they've lost something. Like, you look at retail nowadays with a temporary power, which they're not doing in Dragonflight. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe they'll change their mind halfway through. But people don't like losing stuff. Feels bad.
Yeah.
I'll tell you the most interesting thing, though. What's more interesting than talents is
hold
actually.
Hold on. Yeah, let me. So I'm a hater of the mop talents, but just like to finish off the talents, I get why they had to do that, and I like that way more than the mop design. I'm not a fan of the 31 have to do it, but I get that too. It's still fun compared to the mop change. That's where I sit on that. But were you going to bring up something completely different?
No. It's still really regarding. Well, when I say it's regarding talents, it's regarding the rework in general.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, in regards to that, again, like even with the mop talents, it's not something I'd be in a rush to get. But it does make for interesting choices on a fight-by-fight basis where you're changing, you're going to have an AoE heal on this fight, or you're going to use your single target heal on this fight, or, it is interesting. And I would actually argue it's more interesting than the current talents we're used to. Even though you feel like you've got less choice, there is a lot more customization when it comes to raiding. That's how I feel about it personally. But
you get
I do get
to do a mop, loads.
Yeah, a lot of passives.
We used to have a guy on the show, Yip, that like hated that that part of mob, like having to respec every for each fight. But I've never experienced it, so I have no idea. I have no opinion on it.
Well, I love the being at working out actually what one really does work best on a specific fight. You know, like as a monk, for example, obviously, as you can tell, I played a monk all through MOP. You know, Chi Burst or Chi Wave or Zen Sphere, you know, you'd be using Chi Wave and then everyone starts working out that actually Zen Sphere is better if you can keep it up on 2 targets and it's a single target fight. You know, so yeah, it just felt like your rotation was constantly changing from on a fight by fight basis, which I really liked. But I tell you so in regards to the talents and how all that works, I feel like Kata is possibly one of the worst leveling experiences out of all of the games. So, and I hate vanilla and TBC, don't get me wrong, but I would say Kata feels even worse than those. And I'm talking starting from level 1. It was almost like Kata was made targeting level 80s. You know, it was like you're 80, you're going to go to 85. Because you learn abilities at really, really weird levels. You know, like as a druid, you're going to go all the way to about 56 or something before you even get shred. You know, and again, this is from personal experience playing on a private Kata server recently. And you literally, you get abilities at really strange levels, and it's as if like they didn't really care about that bit.
Like, who starts from 1 in Kata?
Yeah.
Well, you just get level. You don't have to go to your trainer, right? In Kata.
I don't remember.
No, I don't think you do. I never know, because there's RAF private servers where you don't need to go to a trainer. So I wouldn't like to say 100%. Where I was playing on Apollo, and I'm pretty sure that I didn't, because you ding and then it even shows your abilities in the chat box.
Yeah, because I think at some point they made it so you open your spellbook, you can see available at level 50 something.
That's Kata. That's 100% Kata.
Okay, yeah, I don't think you need trainers anymore then.
Yeah, it sounds legit.
It's weird though, because right, Kata. Another thing we're probably going to talk about is the whole world revamp, which is another thing that a lot of people always criticize it for. It was like Blizzard trying to redesign the world and bring it a bit more up to date, because you know what classic leveling's like. We don't have to do it at the moment because leveling's so fast that you can just blast through everything. But classic leveling was do a little bit of Red Ridge and then you go to Dark. What's it called? Duskwood, and then you do a bit of Stranglethorn Vale, and then you go back to Red Ridge. Then you're just going all over the place, and it's like they're trying to.
You almost spend as much time walking around.
Yeah,
to different places.
I don't know. I don't like flying in the old world Azeroth. I didn't really like the changes to I like having to ride. I like that journey. I like it sped up so I could skip the quests that I don't like with the, Joyous Journeys. I loved that. I leveled multiple characters during that time, but
it's fun.
I don't like the flying in Azeroth. I just don't like it. I don't know how to explain it. I just don't like it.
I don't like Azeroth in Kata. Full stop. Yeah. I didn't like the Deathwing devastation and all of the effects on all the zones, which I don't know why. Again, I couldn't really put it into words why I don't like it, but I like Azeroth how it is in Wrath, up until Wrath. If we could almost have Kata, but without that part being done to the old worlds, I would be a lot happier. I didn't realise how much I hated it until I was playing on Apollo, and I had to go. I was going to an RF, Razorfen Downs. I couldn't even find my way in. I felt like a right noob. I didn't know where the entrance was.
You're like, it was right here. I'm pretty sure it was right here.
This is where I left it. Yeah, why is it not there anymore? You have to go into the flooded area of now Thousand Needles, and it's up round the back on the side of a mountain, and I'm like, this largely unnecessary.
Yeah,
I don't know how
should have left the sign.
Because it changed it so much. You got the big tornadoes in Westfall and Darkshore. STV split in half. Those barons. Desolus is not Desolus anymore.
Yeah.
It does change everything, but I don't know. It feels like you only see it when you level, or archaeology. We'll probably get onto that later for archaeology. But the new zones in Cata all need flying. Like, they literally need it.
Yeah, and that's
like Throne of the Four Winds is going to be quite difficult to get to without flying. That is pretty high up. So's Bastion of Twilight, actually. So's Blackwing Descent. In fact, they're all
up high, yeah.
Them, don't you? And Blackwing Descent isn't even in a new zone either, unlike those other raids.
No, over in Searing Gorge. Well, Burning Steps. Yeah, it's like on the border, isn't it? If I remember rightly.
You think they're just trying to get people back in, like when they originally did it? You think they're just trying to get people back in to the old zones, right? Because they felt kind of stagnant at that point.
They're trying to redo the world, like, because the questing wasn't very streamlined. I guess they thought it was outdated, and you know they've been so incredibly successful up to then that they'd have had like unlimited money and talent to do whatever, and then they're like, "This is what we need to do to bring the game up to date." But then they sort of got there, and if things started to drop off, there probably weren't as many people leveling, which is something you could say is true for nowadays. There are less people leveling in general. More people are just playing the end game.
Just boosting. Like chat's talking about, like I was the same. The BlizzCon announcement of Cataclysm, like I was pumped. I was like, this is gonna be so cool, and then it just turned out to be like, I don't know. It's just weird, but.
What about put so much work into revamping the world as well? So much, and it just didn't pay off. Like, imagine if they put all that time into Endgame.
Yeah. What about
another raid ready for Dragon Soul?
They probably could have had MOP like 6 months earlier or something. I don't know, more than that.
Yeah,
that's an insane amount of work. Redoing every zone and all the questing.
Yeah, it's crazy, and just throwing out all the old stuff too. It's kind of a bummer.
Yeah.
What about Dungeon Journal? Like, I'd kind of forgotten about this. But
I love
like,
Dungeon Journal.
It tells you about dungeons and specifically the boss encounters. So doesn't that kind of cut out the WoW guide people?
No, it's very basic. I mean, I'll be completely honest with you. It's not something I'm going to do, but I was actually talking to. He's a streamer, but he streams like add-on creation. So that's what he streams how he makes add-ons for WoW. And I spoke to him and said, "How much would you charge me to make an add-on, which is the Dungeon Journal? Literally, that's all it is. Let's have it in RAF." The Dungeon Journal, where it shows you the bosses, a quick rundown on DPS, tanks, healers, what they have to do, and the loot from the boss. And I think it's very, very difficult to do because he ignored me. Or maybe he then saw who I was and was like, I'm not replying to this dickhead. But it was, I was willing to pay to get that add-on made. So if anybody listening to this is an add-on developer, in all seriousness, get in touch. I will pay you to make that Dungeon Journal.
Well, there's a one that I use. I've got a hotkey to it somewhere, but like it's for raids, and it just tells you the boss abilities and what they do and everything, which is pretty helpful for me. I can't seem to find it though right now.
I just like reading it, to be honest. When I'm on a flight path, I'll just start reading stuff or looking at the loot.
It's called rating.
I just read it and I'm like, ooh.
I look at loot 100%. That's weird though, and it will. You'll look at. It's more interesting to look in the Dungeon Journal at loot by boss than it is on Atlas loot. Do you know what I mean? It's like Atlas loot, really. It's a similar thing, but with Dungeon Journal, I don't know. It just, I do that all the time.
Yeah, I don't know. I like reading it. Or sometimes I'll look at. I don't know. It's just when on flight paths or when you're running between a quest, you just start reading the Dungeon Journal. Sometimes I'm running between quests and I start reading what the quests are because I've never read them. It's just like something I don't know. I like it.
That's fair.
Guild achievement system. I loved this. I loved it. It like gave your guild something to do. You know, a percentage of every like raw gold you pulled out went towards the guild bank. I thought this was great. You worked towards levels. It was kind of a bummer for smaller guilds, I guess, but I thought it was pretty cool overall.
Yeah, 100%. I loved it. And, sending the guild out and telling them that they're not getting a raid spot unless they go and kill 100 critters that week to try and get the critter achievement. Yeah, I loved it. And obviously, remember, you got extra heirlooms as well. So I think it was heirloom legs and cape, I want to say. Cape and legs, I think. It was like guild level 5, you got the cape, level 10, you got the legs. Something along those lines. Whatever level it was, irrelevant. But yeah, you got an extra couple of heirlooms for the guild as well.
That's something.
Yeah, brilliant.
That's something else to point out. Do you like having even more heirloom gear? Because I've heard in retail now you can have a full set, which kind of bums me out because it takes away a lot of the fun during leveling, like when you're getting new stuff, you know?
I would say it's a lot more impactful if we have random dungeon finder, because there's nothing more irritating than, you know, when you get your random dungeon finder bag at the end, you open it and it's a blue item that you constantly keep getting a chest for like 5 or 6 levels. You keep getting a chest and you're like, I got my heirloom chest. I don't need a chest. Stop giving me chests. Right. But no, I'm a big fan of heirlooms. Honestly, yeah, getting the legs and the cape, I'm all for it. You know, getting the ring from the Callowhack fishing derby. Yeah, I see what you're saying, and I agree. I don't like the heirloom system, particularly in retail, but that's more because of how the heirlooms work. They've got set bonuses that are pretty, well, I'd say they're not worthless, but you know, they increase the amount of time it takes for your rested XP to decay, and you get like a weird buff every time you ding that you can refresh by killing mobs. Just a bit strange, but I think, you know, by the time you're in Cata and you've got head, you'd have like head, shoulders, cape, chest, legs, trinkets, weapon. I mean, it is a lot of the slots full, don't get me wrong, but I don't know, you've earned it, and at the end of the day, you've got to have a max level character. You've got to farm to be able to get those heirlooms. In terms of guild achievements, you've got to farm gold to be able to buy them. So it's all for replayability, isn't it? If I wouldn't care, yeah, I'd take a full set, I suppose, and not be bothered.
I guess where I'm at is I really like the min-maxing of, like, you know, when you are working up a new character and you're going and you buy from other people the BOE blues from the auction house, that kind of just starts to just push that entire market just kind of out of business, you know, like the weapons and like the weapons specifically, and then shoulders, you know, kind of start pushing out a big chunk of that, you know, that twink market, or, you know, just the guy that has a bunch of gold that wants to work up his alts quick, you know, and it just kind of, that whole market kind of goes away. And that's the part that I don't like about it, which is just more spice to the game, I feel like.
Yeah.
True.
Okay, so you're going over the guild thing. Anyone bring up the negative of when you log into a new character and you instantly get spam invited to a guild?
No, but that is a very good point.
Yeah.
What
you know what I mean? 'Cause you get, so the guild bank would get, was it 10% of gold earned through quests added to the bank?
Oh, yeah.
Yep, we talked about that.
So you were heavily incentivized to literally just get anyone invited to the guild, but at the same time, being in a guild gave you 10% more XP, so you wanted to be in a guild. But then I think a lot of new players would have got like dragged into guilds, which are like, they literally just exist so somebody can earn gold.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I completely forgot about that, but you're right. It's even the same on retail, isn't it? You create a level 1 and boom, you're just getting spammed with invites. I've had that on there as well.
Yeah, it's
you
changed,
can turn off guild in you can block them though, right? I think you can do that right now.
Yep, can do. Also, you need to be in a guild for mass res, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's pretty powerful.
Still on retail? Is that in retail still now, or is that gone?
Mass res.
Oh, did I?
I think since.
Yeah, I think there were some things that were a little much, and it kind of.
It's been a while.
Yeah, while you were gone, we talked about, or I mentioned that it kind of sucked for smaller guilds, like, you know, like they're not going to level up nearly as quick as your big, you know, monster guilds, and you know, there's not really much you can do about that unless you want to just add more people. And
yeah,
you know.
I never know about the guild. So I feel like being in the guild is the benefit. Like, you don't need anything else.
Yeah.
I know. I liked it, but I can understand the problems with it at the same time. And you know, it just kind of depends on what you do, and it's good for some people and kind of crappy for others. Like, that's the way I feel about it. I could take it or leave it.
Is getting new people invited to guilds which have no intention of doing anything other than treating them as like bots that generate gold for them. Even though you wanted to be in the guilds because of XP, it's still like it's not a good thing. People should want to be in a guild.
It's like forcing the social aspect, right? Where it's like you don't really need that incentive. Most people are in a guild.
Yeah, you'd have a guild of like 2,000 people and there'd be like 15 online or something. They were just a mess. It wasn't a good idea. That bit at least.
We already talked about account-wide mounts and pets. The archeology system is a secondary profession coming in, so everybody could have it. Just like, cooking and fishing. I don't remember archaeology at all.
It was great.
Oh, I do. Yeah. There's one word you can use to describe archaeology.
It's great, not it.
Long.
Slow. Oh my god, it was slow in Kata. It was unbelievably slow. You could get some cool stuff from it though, like the was it Zinrock?
Yeah, you can get Zimrock.
That was very worth getting at one point because it was an alternative to raid gear through a secondary profession. It was kind of funny.
Yeah, you could get the Sandrake if you was alchemy, which was you turned into a dragon and someone could mount you. You got the jar, didn't you? You got like a jar if you was alchemy, and then you could use it, and it gave you the recipe. What else did you get? Yeah, you got a few. There was a few weapons and trinkets and stuff. Yeah, the Bone Raptor. You could get the Koraji battle tank as well. Was it the blackened Koraji battle tank, something like that?
Yeah, but it takes a long time to get these things.
Yeah, or you just botted like a real man. I didn't say that. Did I say that out loud? Speed hack and honestly, that was the rise of speed hack and fly hack. Was you would just see people flying through the air, going from dig site to dig site. But yeah, what you would do, Mel, in answer to your question, you'd open as an archaeologist, you'd open your map, and then you'd see like a little shovel, or in various zones, and you knew that was where dig sites were, and then you'd fly there. You'd use I can't remember exactly what the name of the ability was, where you would pinpoint where to dig. But you would basically do that, like a triangulation effect to find where to dig. Then you'd dig and you'd get fragments. So you'd get like Tolvir fragments or Night Elf fragments, and then you'd combine those fragments to create an item. And if you was lucky, you'd get something useful. If not, you'd get something that was just trash.
Yeah,
I don't even
along those lines, I believe.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, and it took the problem was, like you're saying, the dig sites were so unbelievably far apart from each other. You do one in like Darkshore, and they'd be like, okay, now just quickly nip over to Aldon for me.
Yeah.
And you're like, great, let me get my mount. And I'm like, that's an argument for having flying, because otherwise you get on the flight path and go AFK for 10 minutes.
You'd need flying with that, 100%.
By the time you get there, somebody else has dug up the whole thing, and you're like, great, go back to Darkshore.
But you got bind on account items, so that was like the first introduction, wasn't it, of non-heirloom bind on account items. So you'd get epics. They would actually be epic. Like you could get a really good offhand during mop from a dig site. It was like a fan, if you remember. It was like it looked like a fan, and it was a healing offhand. But you got that from dig sites, and everybody wanted it because it was a level 90, a level 90 offhand that you could send to any of your alts to use straight away as soon as they ding. So there's some useful stuff in archaeology. Again, it's one of those where you don't need to do it, but
no, you don't. That's the thing. It's all optional. I mean, I never got into it. It's just too slow for me. I got bored flying about, so I didn't do it. But I didn't have to do it either.
Yeah, which is nice.
Yeah, I barely remember it now with you describing it. I think I probably did it like a handful of times and then never, ever again.
And it would have been because it was ridiculously slow. I don't even think slow is the right word, is it, Will? It was.
Ice ages have passed.
Yeah.
I couldn't stomach it. Like, I couldn't do it. I knew someone who did it and got the all the achievements for it and stuff, and they loved it. So fair enough to them. They had their mount, they had their Zinrock, they had all the cool things, and I was like,
you said, I'm good with not having those because I know I didn't have to do what you did.
I was like, I'm like, wow, those are cool. I'll try it out. I like try it for 10 minutes. I'm like, I'm not, no, I can't do this.
Hard no.
I couldn't even do fishing back then. I was too impatient for that as well.
That's gotten a lot better in pre-patch. So much better, faster. It's just quicker.
Now,
if you don't level up fishing when you're leveling, it is like feels like such a slow grind, right? Like if you do it while you're leveling, I feel like it doesn't feel as bad.
It's a lot better now. I've done one character and now I've got the other one up to 300 on both of them, so it's quite a bit quicker now. But the next one's reforging. This is where you would reforge an item to take one secondary stat and reforge it into another. I didn't really mind this. I don't remember minding this at all.
I preferred it to tertiary stats. Remember when I added tertiary stats where you got avoidance, leeching, stuff like that? I thought that was unnecessary, but I like reforging. Yeah, I mean, I believe it's 40%, isn't it? Is that right? I think you don't get 40% of the stat that changes. It weren't quite 50, was it?
Yeah, I think that sounds about right. I liked it. Yeah, you got an item. It wasn't your best item, but you could make it into a better item.
Mm-hmm. I feel like it just makes more items attainable to everybody and allows them to be better for what they need. I'm fine.
One thing, speaking of items, one thing they didn't mention is armor proficiency, I think is what it was called. And that's where if you were a plate user and every single item was plate, you would get a stat buff, which I do like that.
5% of your primary. Yeah. But again, it's one of those where I don't like it. I don't dislike it. Yes.
But as a rogue, I just hated when, a plate wear or a mail wear would be like, well, that's still my best.
Get ready for Wrath, mate, as a rogue, because Rets are going to be taking your gear left, right, center, and you're going to hate it.
Yeah, at least warriors get that really easy armor to attack power talent really high up in Fury, I think it is. So everybody's going to be taking that, but the Rets, yuck. At least there's only one per raid.
One, that's a lot.
I don't know how I feel about that, actually. I mean, I feel there's a bit of a change with how raiding works from during the expansions. Because in classic TBC, even most of Wrath, you're not doing a raid night thinking, are we going to kill the boss? You're doing a raid night thinking, is this item going to drop? And that changes as WoW goes on, as encounters get much harder. So, I don't know, I think having more gear tailored towards certain specializations or classes is probably better, because otherwise it's like when phase 6 came out for TBC, not phase 6, tier 6, you had Curse Vision and every melee wants it, literally every single melee. Okay, we need a lot of this item then, but instead it'd be I don't know, there'll be a bunch of different options now instead.
Yeah, there could be a lot of wasted gear as well, I suppose. There is two ways of looking at it. I like it. I mean, thinking about it, how you just described it, I do like it, because it does mean that you know, right, that's going to drop and it's going to go to one of us rogues or one of us ferals. You know that it is for the armor class that that you would expect it to go to.
Right.
Tier got a lot better as well. So it's, at the moment, sometimes you don't wear tier. I'm playing Ret at the moment in TBC, and the tier you've got at the moment is just it's 50 mana restore on melee, and Hammer of Wrath does 10% more damage. You couldn't even use Hammer of Wrath before pre-patch. It was literally, you never ever casted it because it reset your swing timer. And as you go on in WoW, more and more tier sets just keep getting better. Like in Wrath, by the end of it, they're really strong in ICC for a lot of classes.
I mean, should you really cast any buttons as a Ret Pally in TBC? Was there any? I'm just kidding.
He had to bubble occasionally if he was stood in something.
As a Ret Paladin main, I can fully say I love a bit of leather.
Yeah. I didn't really. I thought you was a Warlock main. That's
I ended up playing Ret in TBC.
Okay.
Yeah, bit of a swap halfway through.
Bored with Shadow Bolt?
Yeah, pretty much. I got bored pressing Shadow Bolt, and Guild needed a Ret, and I was playing Ret in Raid 2.
There you go.
I'll go on, and I'll play it for the rest of it. Back to Warlock now. Back to Warlock. Definitely, I'm playing Warlock for Wrath all day.
But it will be, on the flip side of that, it would be a shame, wouldn't it? You know, like if we use Cursed Vision of Sargeras as an example, you know, your rogues and ferals have got it and it drops, and now it's like, even though it's got really good stats on, you know, and you might look at it as an individual item, as a warrior or a hunter or whatever, and be like, I can't use it. You know, I literally, I can't use it even though it's good.
Yeah, there are downsides.
I mean, 5% stats is a lot. Like, that's a huge amount.
Yeah, it's a lot.
So yeah, that's the flip side. Throw good gear in the bin. Yeah,
it's like, you know, as a warrior right now, like in DPS spec, it's kind of a bummer because I have leather shoes. You know, I'm missing a little bit of attack power that could be maxing out if I, you know, and I have mail bracers. So like I'm missing out on a little bit of attack power because of that, but it's not like a huge deal. Like I'd be switching those out for blues if it was 5%, you know, to my main stat. So I guess there is downsides, and you know, the more armor categories you can wear, the more you're probably not for that change, and the less, you know, priests probably like just absolutely love that change because they're like, okay, stop taking my damn armor, you shabbies.
Stop taking my cloth gear.
Yeah, Holy Paladins.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of, I mean, healers, you've got Spirit and MP5 healers, but if you're a warrior or a rat, you're loving it because you can roll on anything you want.
Right.
Pretty much. Or a DK even now.
Yep, DKs too. Well, okay, so we can skip over. We've kind of talked about some of the other stuff. Transmogrification.
Bob loves transmog.
This is actually my most hated change about Cataclysm. I cannot stand transmog. Please, I've been saying it over and over again. Please, Blizzard, make it. You've got that new, you know, features button tab thing where you put things that shouldn't be features in it. It should just be on. Put transmog in there so I can flip it on and off. And the people that don't like it don't have to see it, and the people that do can. Easy fix. Like, I know a ton of people love it. I know I'm in the minority, but just give us that and boom.
I'm a little bit scared. One of my cameras just froze. Don't know why. I'm a little bit scared because that's the angriest I've ever seen you about anything. I feel like I want to leave at the moment before you Hulk out.
All about transmog, which doesn't impact the actual game.
Yeah,
it impacts my being able to see people's what gear they have, be able to like it affects me in many different ways.
And I can't make fun of me when I have like pink, you know, swimsuit top on. He gets the same shirt, and it's this like long sleeved pink, you know, button up.
Yeah, I mean, I like the clown suits. I like that. I do think if it was toggleable, I would enjoy doing transmog competitions and stuff, and I'd probably turn it on here and there and see different things, you know. But I'd, for the most part, have it off. And I think it's an easy fix to have it client side. Like your client has all the information, like easy fix, I think. But how do you guys feel about transmogrification?
Can I go first? I normally say I want to go last, but I'll go first because I can pretty much sum it up in 3 words. I reckon. Let me just think about the 3 words I want.
That's right.
I don't care.
Same. Yeah. Put it in, take it out, whatever.
I feel like it's something that you're supposed to have a stance on, but I just don't really care that much either.
I see Bob's. I think Bob's point. I'm not sure. He ranted for a long time there, and I didn't take anything away. But I'm pretty sure he's going along the lines of like when you're looking at some guy stood in Shatraf in full tier 6, you look at him and go, he's done some raids, you know, but if he was stood there in full tier 1 transmog, you'd be like, what a noob, he's been to Molten Core. Like,
Good job.
But either way, I don't look at it's classic. You've got to remember that. Keep reminding yourself every now and again, go, right, it's classic. It's not retail, it's classic. Because I look at someone in full tier 6 and go, his missus ain't going to be happy that he spent all that money.
Well, I like,
back a bit.
And in PvP too, like I want to see if they're coming at me with the best sword, you know, or if they're coming at me with like a little, you know, pea shooter.
This is the problem with liking or not liking transmog. If you play the game a lot, you see a health bar and you know how much gear someone's got. That's it.
Yeah, that's what everybody in retail tells me now. Like, they're like, you just have to look at their health. But that's another thing I don't like is the, you know, about retail is just the like homogenization of all the gear. And, you know, switching to tank and it's all the same gear as your DPS warrior. Like, I that's a part I really don't like.
I like secondary stats. I said I don't care, and now I'm sort of sat here reflecting, thinking maybe I do care, actually, because in all honesty, like I said right at the start, how happy I am that I've got, you know, on a fresh paladin, I didn't dream in a million years that during the pre-patch I'd get Bulwark of Azzinoth. You know, even though, as I say, there's better shields, don't get me wrong, but for looks, I was so happy I got it. If I could always have my shield looking like Bulwark of Azzinoth, would I do it? 100%. So I can't say I'm against transmog when I would use it. And come Mr. Pandaria with a gold challenge mode gear, particularly on Monk and Hunter, I think they both look fantastic. And yes, I would want to be transmogged in both those sets at all times. Like I am. But if I go on retail, I mean, they all look great, don't they? Well, most of them look great.
Really good. I wish I got them when it was current.
Yeah, well, I've got 2 or 3. I've got Druid. I've got 3. Yeah, I've got Druid, Hunter, and Monk. And I struggle creating another character on retail outside of those 3 because from the get go, I want to be wearing my gold challenge mode gear, which is it's a bit sad. I know. But so yeah, I can't say I don't care about transmog. Sorry, when I suppose I kind of do.
And a lot of people love it. Like a lot of people love it. But in chat, someone points out like they like retail transmog because all the new gear looks like crap. Well, you can make the argument that they stopped caring about making gear look really cool once they put transmog in. Like it became less and less of a priority for them, possibly.
Right. Maybe they'd look at one set, a season that they're like, oh, let's make this one look really cool, and maybe it'll take over the transmog for that one. But
I mean, they did try not doing tier sets for a while as well. So there was
that worked well.
I don't know. I like because I always, when on retail, you're given the choice: do you want to use transmog or do you not want to use it? And I always use it. So I guess that means I like it.
Yeah, and that's why I had to go back on my first statement as well, because when I was sat here, I was thinking, I can't say I don't care when I always transmog my gear.
Like, I have a set which I love on pretty much every character. Like I got my Paladin, the Nax 25, the sort of golden color one with the Saronite. I forget the name of the items, but basically it looks good. And whenever I get an item from a quest, I like put it on, it's some like green pair of shoulders. I'm like, oh, okay, great. Get the mount out, transmog it, change it back to how it should look. Then carry on.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I always use it. Like on my druid, I use the tier 11 set, the Storm Rage or something, because that was one of the opening tier of Cataclysm, one of my favorite tiers ever. Because I love the tier so much, I use that to this day, and I've always used it. Just because I enjoyed the tier so much. So yeah, given the choice, I'll use it. And if other people use it,
change that. Change that tune on this really quick.
You guys really went the opposite direction here.
But both of us opened that statement with "I don't care," and then now we're both like, "Do you know what? I want transmog now."
Actually,
So I've not done my job.
Just asterisk if they don't have it, I'm okay. If they do have it, like. That's okay, but if they did put it in the game, my Paladin's wearing tier 2 forever. Just by the way,
do you think it would hurt anybody if they made it toggleable?
Okay. I'll manage.
Like if they made you able to toggle it and choose whether you saw it or not, do you think that hurts anybody?
No,
I think that's a win-win.
Well, I mean, everyone
it might be a lot of processing to have everyone sort of with their own gear, which could be different. I don't know how it works on their end. It could be a lot of work, more than you think.
I used to raid with people in original Wrath that couldn't play the game without something morph. What's it called? I think it's actually bannable now.
Morph. Yeah, it is bannable. Yeah. It's been bannable forever and ever. It's absolutely your own risk.
I used to raid with people.
Anything.
Yeah, and they would literally, they'd raid and have their character look like, if they was human, they'd have their character looking like gnome just because they preferred the look of it. And I was always like, I don't really get that. I've never been one who really cares that much about what I'm looking at, if I'm honest. But if transmog is there, you're gonna do what you can, I suppose. I'd make my character look as good as possible.
Well, yeah,
and it is probably more of a when transmog first came out, it was probably actually more of a flex than it is now. In current retail, because you'd stick on maybe your full original Nax set, transmog into that, because it's like, well, no fucker can go back and get that now. I'm looking good. I'm feeling good. I feel like no hit Jerome.
Well, and I think that's one of the pros. If I'm looking at pros, like it gives old content new life because people are going back trying to get things, for transmog specifically. So that part I think is like a pro towards it, but that's why
we've got him.
Yeah,
well, I've been saying forever,
Also,
toggle it client side, and I will use it sometimes. Like I just won't use it the majority of the times is all.
Question. What level can you use transmog from?
I have no idea.
In Cata, I'm not sure. I mean, you can use it from the get-go, can't you, on retail?
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know. Imagine if you log in Elwyn Forest and you've got a bulwark on your back. That's a bit weird, isn't it?
It would still be cool though, wouldn't it? Come on.
He's like, I don't think that's weird at all.
That's making me want to play even more. That's not
You're like, hold up, you just got some kobold bop.
I need to wake myself up because it's does no one feel a little bit weird sat here talking about Cataclysm when Raph's not even launched?
I know.
It's like the pennies just dropped. I'm like, hang on, we've got about 2 years before we need to even worry about this.
Well,
I think it's weird too that they put this out.
I think it's
right
cool.
before Wrath.
I think it's cool because it means that they might actually be doing a lot of changes while Wrath's going on and might actually be.
Yeah, I mean, based on the feedback, they may need to develop different things that they weren't preparing to develop. So I get that they need it sooner. It just seems like a weird timing with pre-patch being out right now, right? Like,
yeah,
it's fine. Fine with it.
Okay, unified raid, loot, and lockouts. This is where they made 10-man and 25-man loot the same, and you could and the difficulty was supposed to be just as difficult for 10, 25-man. I've heard a lot of people argue that 10-man became a lot more difficult than 25-man. Just, you just don't have all the buffs, I think.
In some cases.
And then also, you can only do one or the other. So that was the change there.
I'm going to go yes on this because I don't like it when I have to do the same dungeon, 10-man and 25-man in a lockout to get gear, to get different gear. I don't like it.
I don't like doing 4 of them. I like doing 2 of them. I like doing a 10 and a 25. I did not like in TOC doing it 4 times.
The game design was not to get people to do the same dungeon twice in 10 and 25-man. I mean, when they put them out, they weren't saying like, oh, they could go do a 10-man and then they could go get their other friends and they could all do a 25-man. No, it was like, hey, this is for people who don't have as many friends and you only have 10 friends. And so you do your 10-man, and this is for people who a lot of people like to play with them, like I just don't think the intention was ever to have people running all of them. But
I don't know. I'll be able to play a lot more alts if this is the case going into Cata. I mean, that is a plus or a minus for some people. Like I would be able to successfully, easily do 3 tunes instead of just 2.
Why?
So I'm trying
because
to
I'd have less raids to run. Like I'd either run a 10 or a 25-man with each character, and bada bing, bada boom. That opens up a whole nother slot. I'd probably be able to raid on 4 characters if that were the case. So I don't know how I feel about it really at all. I do kind of like easier 10-mans and like not as good loot. Like I kind of like that. But I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I'll go last. We'll get his thoughts out.
Choice is a good thing. Yeah, I don't know. It's like it's good having different sort of levels of loot to it, but at the same time, if there's different raid groups, and 10-man was, as you've said in the past, Bob, designed around friends and families groups, so maybe they shouldn't have done that, but I don't know. Really? I mean, I was a 10-man raider back then, and I absolutely loved the 10-man raiding. I thought it was fantastic. I really, really enjoyed it. So yeah, I don't know. I guess you do want the same level of loot, because as a 10-man raider, we could get what the 25-man people were getting as well. Even though in some cases the fights were objectively harder. Like, I specifically remember Helpless Wormbreaker on 10-man was pretty messed up. When on 25 it was kind of easy. And so some fights weren't scaled well, and that's not something that could really be fixed, because sometimes you just have less healers, so you have less cooldowns in your raid. You have
less buffs
happen more often. The arenas are big where the fights take place, so things might be more spread apart. You don't have enough people to deal with the mechanics properly. It wasn't balanceable, basically, which is why they moved to Mythic eventually. But I don't know. I think at the time I liked it, and I liked having the opportunity to be able to get the best gear possible in the game, despite it being from a smaller raid size.
Yeah, and the thing is, with what you said there with Halfus, the problem was you couldn't get enough Disc Priests into the group with Halfus. If you remember, like you would cheese it, wouldn't you? Because of the healing debuff, you would have Disc Priest smite spamming. To put the bubbles up with atonement. So yeah, there was a lot more harder 10-man bosses than there were 25-man bosses, and I'd say we've got that coming in Wrath. 10-man heroic Lich King will be harder than 25-man heroic Lich King, because you've got less raid buffs, you've got less cooldowns, you've got, when there is less, it does make it difficult. And as I say, I killed 25-man heroic Lich King back in the day before 10-man. In our guild, there weren't a lot in it, a couple of days, but still, 10-man normally is harder. I see it in two ways. Me personally, I would like to see Wrath raid setting carry over into Cata, where 10-man, you can do 10 and 25-man. 10-man is the more casual scene, if you like. You do get lower item level. They can be exactly the same items, but just scaled down a little bit in item level. And yeah, there's 25. I'd have 10 heroic, 25 heroic. But obviously, you can only do each boss on each raid size once. So you could do 10-man, a couple of bosses on 10-man heroic, and then clear up on normal, and then you can do the same on 25. But at the same time, the thing that I don't like about that, even though, it's my own idea on it, which is a bit weird, is the 10-man strict. That used to be a big thing, even on logs back in the day, when it was World of Logs, not Warcraft logs. And there was 10-man strict guilds where none of them have ever stepped into a 25-man. All they do is strict 10-man. So it could set up for an interesting scene in the speed running, so speed running 10-man, strict guilds, speed running 25-man guilds. It could actually set up for a more competitive raiding scene, and just be a bit more fun. But I prefer 10-man, if I'm completely honest. I even now, I prefer 10-man to 25-man. And I would prefer to do a 10-man that's more challenging, but there is only 10 of us. Because I don't know, I've always preferred smaller raid sizes. That's why I hated vanilla. I hated 40-man raiding. I always have.
Yeah, 40's too many. Basically, as raid comp size diminishes, responsibility goes up. Like in 10-man, everyone's pulling their weight, and I like the smaller group as well. Like 40, there's just people you don't know. You know what I mean?
Well, and there's people not doing anything.
You don't know. You know what I mean? There's people who, with 10-man, it feels like you pretty much know everyone. It's nice.
Yeah.
I did like 10-man a lot back in Cata, so I'm going to be biased towards it. I also like being able to get the best gear, because if I wasn't getting the best gear, then I'd feel as though I had to do 25-man, and that would remain true today. For example, if I was in Wrath, I'd feel as though I need to do the 25-man version.
But would you have a more enjoyable time in Wrath, do you think, if you could get the same loot from 10-man? Because they did consider that, didn't they? They said it in a blue post. They considered making 10 and 25-man drop the same loot.
I mean, to be honest, it's happy with the guild at the moment, and there's been 25-man for as long as I've been in it, so I think it's quite dependent on environment. Like, I wouldn't want to downgrade it for the sake of it. Like, I'm happy with the people I play with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So yeah, fine as I am at the moment. But yeah, in different circumstances, 10 man is easier to put together objectively than 25.
For sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm kind of like you, Scotty. Like I don't know how I feel about it. Like, you know, there would be pros and cons to both. I would raid with more characters if it was, you know, you could only do one lockout, but you know, you'd probably progress faster if you're able to do the two, like in Wrath. You know, so it just kind of depends. I don't know, but what about goblins and worgans? I forgot to mention that.
Okay, right. Strong opinion. I don't like the new races. I don't like them at all. Like they look. Both of them look stupid. Okay, they look terrible. And goblins being shamans is dumb. Like signing some contract to get elementals to work with. Like, no, it just doesn't make sense. Goblins like the quintessential "I don't care, just pay me" race. Why did they take a side with a horde?
The goblin starting zone's fantastic, though. Come on, like
it's fun. Like I like.
It's a fun zone to do, but yeah, I agree. I couldn't care less whether they was there or not. Leave them out. Doesn't make a difference to me. But give us troll druids.
Also, yeah, I was going to say new races for druids I like that. In fact, I like the new race class combos. Like you can have human hunter, undead hunter, that Tauren paladin, sunwalker, and all that, can't you? It's kind of
cool.
But whatever. Let's have something new. Like, go on. What else can you have? Gnome priest. Is that Kata?
I think it was. Yeah, I think you're right. I think gnome priest was Kata, wasn't it?
I think so.
Did you have dwarf shaman then, or was that later?
Yeah, dwarf shaman. I'm fairly sure was Kata as well. I think.
Yeah, they've always been kind of shamanistic, haven't they? With the dark iron dwarves and that.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
But yeah, I think both. Like same with Panda. I don't like how pandas look either. I'm just going to say it. It's the only race I've made a panda monk during MOP, and I had to race change it eventually because I was tired of looking at it. I never even played it at endgame. I just didn't want to look at it anymore.
I feel like he's stabbing a dagger straight in my back, like right now. Honestly, I love monks. I hate the starting zone. I hate the monk starting zone where you the panda starting zone when you're on the big turtle. But I do like. I miss my monk. It was great.
The Gilnea starting zone is also I like that, by the way. But I don't know. I just don't like how they look.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Like
we actually got WillE as upset as I was about transmog.
Yeah.
Look, they could just do the new race class combos and leave them out, and I'd be fine with that.
I'd be fine with that as well.
I have to come up with a new druid race for the alliance. Have I don't know, gnome druid.
Gnome. Let's have a gnome druid.
We should just let everybody be a gnome.
Yeah.
Everybody should be able to be a gnome. Come on.
Yeah.
I loved my little unkillable priest, disciplined priest goblin in PvP. I'd absolutely love to be in goblin.
Yeah.
Oh, the racials are amazing, though. I mean, the goblin, well, the jump, you know, the rocket jump as goblin's great fun. Not so much the rocket launcher, but the jump's great fun. I quite like goblin, but it is more. I love the starting zone. I could log on Kata now and level a goblin just because I enjoy the starting zone that much.
Honestly, if they when they do Kata, they will. By the way, I'll probably do the starting zones, but I don't see me playing them too much after that. Really,
I'll just be upset because all of my cards are in Alliance, and I wouldn't be able to be a goblin. That's the part I'm bummed with. Like,
well, I mean, if goblins just want you to pay them
for warriors as well with two-handed, they look so bad, man. They just look so bad.
I'm waiting for him to just throw the mic off that arm and be like, "I'm done. Fuck this."
Sorry, goblin.
You bring in Morgan and Goblin, and I'm over.
Yeah.
Oh, well, is there? I mean, they go on. The thing goes on to like, kind of like break up the different things and what, you know, most least, and they ask you the same questions over and over again. So, I mean, is there anything else you guys wanted to talk about as far as the survey goes? Because I think we covered most of it. They ask you your favorite color for some reason, but that one, I don't get that one either. Like,
they ask your favorite color because then depending on what color you pick is the concept that's put in front of you. So the concept that you see on that particular survey is whatever color he picked. If he'd have picked a different color, the concept that they're putting in front of you could have been completely different. It might have been no flying, no whatever. You know, all the following questions would have changed completely.
Yeah, so it was just a way to get. So it's just a random way to split up, you know, people answering which questions. It wasn't based on anything prior, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well, I mean, also, you know, this is kind of like the TBC one, too. This is a long freaking survey, so hopefully everybody filled it out. I remember the TBC one took me like 45 minutes to do it because I was really, you know, trying to think about it and really answer it correctly. And like, I almost feel like, you know, and I posed this question to Blizzard specifically in the creators Discord of like, why don't we just pull everybody right on the launcher? And they gave me some, you know, cost benefit. Well, Blizzard didn't, but someone in the channel told me about cost benefit analysis and how it actually is better to pull a small population, or it's proven to be more successful. But I was just thinking about for a week on the launcher, do you like transmog? Yes or no? Just one question, you know, and then a week later do another question, and then a week later do another question. Like, why? Like, I don't see how it would hurt to have that information also, as well as these huge long surveys.
Yeah.
I mean, ultimately, though, just like a question for all of you: will you play Cataclysm?
I'm leaning towards yes. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'd love to redo the heroics. Tier 11 was the best opening tier of raiding ever in World of Warcraft to this day. Really good tier. I'll also love to do Firelands again. Dragon Soul, you know, maybe I'll do it a bit. But,
yeah, surely they would know, wouldn't they? They'd know that Dragon Soul would need to be rushed. It's going to be that short phase. You know, where Nax might be our short phase of Wrath, you know, Dragon Soul would have to be the short phase of Cata, because surely they understand the fact that, not that many people are really that excited about being in there. And, you just have to get through it in a few months, maybe 4 months tops. So, you know, 16 resets, that's not that bad.
Yeah, no, I think it's fine. I mean, it's just, there's no reason to make it a year or whatever it was back in the day.
No.
Yep.
I'd definitely play again. I mean, I played Cataclysm a lot in its current expansion. I enjoyed a lot of things about it. I think in a lot of ways it gets a reputation that it doesn't entirely deserve, based off Dragon Soul and people not liking Deathwing as much as they liked Arthas as a villain.
I think you're absolutely right. And I think I'm part of that group that just partially remembers Cataclysm wrong. Like, I look over this list and not much of it pisses me off. Like, and I thought that I just absolutely hated every bit of Cata, and that's just the way that I remember it from so long ago, and the time in my life that I was in, and the amount of time it took to do things, and all sorts of different, factors. And I've just, it's kind of like the legend grows over time, and like in my head, the legend of how bad Cata was just kept growing when it didn't really need to, or it wasn't actually, like, in my head, I kept building it up as it like horrible and horrible and horrible and just more and more. And I'm really starting to see this going over that. And it's interesting. I wonder if others will start to see that too.
Yeah. I feel like the time of at least the time of my life is where inevitably I quit WoW, right? Like, I went to grad school and I didn't have time to play WoW. And then you can blame it on all of these changes in Cataclysm or changes that they made it awful. So I said goodbye. But reality was, real life things came up and I said, I don't have time to play World of Warcraft right now. And I quit.
Wow. That's so responsible. I did the opposite. I went to university and I played WoW even more.
Well, she played during undergrad.
Free time now, ish, kind of.
Yeah, she did
You can wait. I've got to kill Nefarian.
Yeah, she played fine in undergrad, but then when she went to do her master's, she did a like a sped up version of the master's program. So she was working full time and doing that. Like she literally had no time to do anything. So it was a different situation. When she was just in college, she was playing all the time.
Yeah. Well, I do want to say, so there was these questions at the end that I think I'd like to get people's thoughts on. So Cataclysm being released in its 2010, the way it was in 2010 with changes to just enhance and update the gameplay. Is that your ideal, or would you rather have
the survey here?
I think it needs. I feel like they answer their own questions the majority of the time. Like this going out for, like, in my opinion, again, you might disagree, but in my opinion, at least, the fact that they've even put this survey out basically says that they're going to launch Cat Classic. It's not they're not really asking if we want it or not. It's more them putting it out, going like, you're getting it, so you might as well fill this out and let us know what you think. Yeah, because they're they're not gonna stop milking this cash cow. Because all the people that say to me, and I get that there are some people who stand on their morals for whatever reason, but the people who are saying now, oh, we don't want Cata, it's what ruined the game and all of this stuff. When it comes to the end of Ruby Sanctum, your full bis, your guild is still alive and kicking, and they're all going into Cataclysm. You're gonna go with them.
Yeah, 100%.
It's as simple as that. And there's no reason not to, is there? Let's be real. So if I said now, I don't like Cataclysm, I really don't like it, but we've finished Wrath and everybody's going into Cataclysm, there's no harm me going in and getting to 85, and then maybe doing some heroics, doing some raids, and then going, nah, I knew this weren't for me. But there's no reason to not go into it, because you never know, you might actually enjoy it either this time round because you're 13, 14 years old, or however long it's been, 10, 12, whatever. You're an older person, you're with your community that you've maybe been with since 2019. It'll be a completely different experience, even if it's exactly the same game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I think that's the thing. A lot of people say, at the end of Wrath, when Office dies, that's it, the game dies. You've all read it a million times, you know what that's like. And it's like, well, if you know Cat is not for you and you're not going to play it, it's like, oh, well, why do you care? Like,
yeah.
What's it about what they do? Like, Blizzard aren't going to get to the end of Wrath and be like, okay, right, server's closed, bye then. Like, look at all the effort they put into Season of Mastery. You might think it's not turned out too well or whatever, like whatever your opinions are of Season of Mastery. They put effort into that, and look at how many people played that. Cool. Cataclysm will be many, 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 many times more people than that who will at least give it a go, which is one extra month of subscriber.
For sure.
They're going to do it.
I definitely don't want, 1 through 3 coming out again in order, like I definitely don't want that. I don't want to ever play TBC again. I enjoyed my time, but like if I wanted something, it would be another fresh Wrath, like after this, you know what I mean? Like that's what I would take. My perfect
because you haven't
world.
played Wrath yet, right? Like
yeah,
I also feel like we're just but there's
so
no way you're getting me to go back to vanilla either. Like right now, like maybe in a couple years I'd go back to vanilla, but right now it's too soon. Like, no.
I tell you what I would do. Yeah. If it got to the end of Wrath and they said, right, we're relaunching it, 2019, there'll be a few changes. They might maybe add dual spec in vanilla or something like that. There's very little that they could do that outside of a full-on revamp that would make me want to play it. I would, and this will be weird. This is going to be a weird take, but I would go onto a MOP private server. That would be the next place I went. It would. So mark my words, in about 18 months, I will either be going into Cata Classic or I will be going onto the next MOP private server. It's one or the other.
Yeah.
But for me in a fantasy world, my perfect world would be they branch off, new timeline, give us a new expansion, branching off from Wrath with like Wrath type of thought process. But I know that that's not really going to happen. So yeah, I want Cato with some changes, and I was thinking
about the whole Classic Plus thing a bit more the other day, because it's it's been an idea that's been around nearly as long as Classic has. Yeah, so they do take it in some new direction. They put Hyjal in vanilla. They do some kind of Scarlet Crusade raid, right? All these other various ideas that have been thrown about over the years. And one of the problems with World of Warcraft's content is it takes a long time to develop, and you kind of go through it really, really fast. And they've started time gating pretty excessively in retail over the past few expansions to stop you from doing that as fast as you may want to. I just think even if there was new content, like imagine if there's a new raid, with how hard things are in TBC, is it going to be harder than Muru? Is that too hard? Does the average player want that? Because a lot of people wiped endlessly on Muru until it was nerfed. Like, should raiding ever be harder than that? I think people just go through the content too fast. And then on the other side of it, you have Kata, which, they're trying to gauge what people did and didn't like, and then try and, include or exclude things based on that. But that's kind of a known thing, and it's already all there. So I don't think they're going to ever explore Kata, the idea of, not Kata, Classic Plus, until we've fully gone through literally every iteration of the game that people may be in any way interested in. And by that time, it may be maybe not worth doing anymore because there won't be enough players.
If they're going to be developing new raids and developing new dungeons, new whatever, they're going to do that on retail.
Yeah.
Classic's not even the format. It's not even the place. As much as I'd like it, because I would, actually. I'd love it. If after RAF we got RAF Plus or whatever you want to call it, because I'd really like it to be an add-on to RAF rather than from vanilla, but there's a lot of places where in the old zones in Eastern Kingdoms, Kalimdor, where you could put a raid, where you could, they could do a lot of things. But then if they're going to start developing new content, like Will said, it's a big job. They're not going to do that on Classic because that's not really what it's here for. This is here for them to be able to make money for minimal effort. And I'm not making that sound like a bad thing. I'm not knocking them, but that is ultimately what they're doing. So they've probably not even got the size of team to enable them to develop new content. Yeah, they can make some minor adjustments, some little changes, and change how little things work. But you're talking, that's a small team of people that can do that. But then if you're talking making a raid, well, they'd need to be doing it now. That's the bottom line. They're putting a survey out about Kata. Instead of putting that survey out about Kata, they need to be making the new raids and the new zones and all of that now ready for after RAF. So it's obvious where it's going to go. Yep. As I say, I'm kind of hoping it stops at the end of RAF, just so I can go on a mop private server, create my panda, and call it WillE Hates Us. That's it. That's all I want to do.
I'll stand by that decision. I think you're right, isn't it? They're not realistically going to do that. Also, to be honest, the whole milking the franchise and stuff, I guess it is easy money at the end of the day, but it's it's not Skyrim yet. They haven't milked it to that extent. They're re-releasing it. People are paying them for them to re-release it. It is what it is.
We're all having fun.
Yeah, and we want them to milk it. Let's be honest. And technically, it's free.
14, when they release the next expansion for that, it's going to be like bloody Square Enix milking Final Fantasy, releasing more expansions people want them to do. It's like, I know this is old content we're playing, so I get there's a bit more of a degree of it being an easy win. But at the end of the day, if people want to do it, people want to pay them, people want this content, then just put it out.
Yep. Yeah, why not?
Yeah, I said that's what I want in my fantasy world, but I understand that that's just there's almost a 0% chance that that's going to happen. So
they'd almost have to give up on retail and put all of their resources into branching off at Wrath, right? And they would have had to do it when they released Classic Vanilla.
Well, they did add 120 people recently to the WoW specifically team with buying that new studio. So it's not completely out of the range, but most likely you're right. It's going to go into retail, and they're going to really try and get us to go into that is what I think they're going to try and do. Good luck, Blizzard. Yeah. All right. Well, we covered some of the news. There's two things I want to hit on the news, and then we're going to be out of here, guys.
Okay. Time for the news.
So there are two really quick things that I just wanted to let everybody know is you can now queue anywhere for BGs. Does anybody know I haven't done it yet anywhere. Does anybody know if it takes you right back to where you were when you queued or when you accepted the queue?
I have no idea.
I've not tried it myself either.
I haven't tried it since they made this change.
Somebody in chat says when you entered. Like when you enter the queue, it takes you back to right there.
I love that because then I could be getting shit done while I'm queued. I love it. It actually makes me like 10-minute queues because I could farm and get some stuff done during the queue. And it actually makes me...
This isn't the game, but LFD isn't. Yeah, for a battleground, but dungeons, no.
No.
I feel like he's trying to get me to rant again. I just...
But it's like
we all want LFD. I mean, we all want that.
Some more like variation, with what I'm like on LFD. So let's not go down that. But yeah, it's kind of weird that both of these things exist in the same timeline.
It's still cool though, right?
Yeah, it's a great change. It's a great change. Yeah, very good. No one wants to be sitting outside the guy in Shatrath.
Yeah. Well, and then you'd queue, and then you'd have to be like, all right, I think I can get this done for the queue, and then it sucks you right back. You're like, all right, now I'm going back. It was just kind of a pain.
Yeah, somebody says don't fly up really high in the air, or you'll die when you get ported back.
Oh, that's
after
awesome.
You take the queue.
That sounds like a feature, not a bug.
Well, I've actually posted on the official WoW forums complaining about it. To be honest, no, not the flying thing, the actual queuing from anywhere. I've complained about it. I just feel like it's ruining my social experience by running into the city and queuing. So I'm really annoyed about it. To be honest, it's a bit of a
topic. Talk to everybody else around you anymore. You can do it wherever you want.
Exactly. It takes it away from me.
Those people standing around that battle master, I'm going to 4 of their weddings next week. So big social interaction. I love it.
Oh man.
Oh god.
Oh, all right. Well, I think that's a good change. And then we did get the global release times for Wrath Classic, which is basically launches globally September 26th, 3 p.m. Pacific time. What time is that in GMT for you guys?
11 p.m.
11. It's always 11.
Oh, so they're making you stay up late, huh?
I'll tell you what the problem is with that. It's not even the problem of staying up late, but if you play on Feckle, not only have you got to stay up late, you need to stay online all day to not get a queue to then be on at launch.
You got to queue at midday. You can't even nap.
Yeah, I think that's going to be true for everybody.
Have to do about 30 odd hours. Oh, I don't feel not all servers have got queues. Is that bad, have they?
No, actually, no PvE servers have queues.
No,
it's only PvP servers.
It might queue a little bit, so I'm going to log in a few hours early. But yeah, PvEs just don't queue, basically.
I'm going to have to probably get on about 10 in the morning, I would have thought.
Yeah.
All right, just to skip the queue completely.
Latest, like 2 or 3 p.m. Probably be a few hours even then.
It's going to be wild. Hopefully hopefully no servers break, because I remember Faralita got like that, I don't know, hour and a half or 2 hour server setback. Like, where they lost all their progress for like an hour or two. Remember, that sucked for them.
Oh, that was awful.
Luckily, it didn't happen to us, but yeah, hopefully it goes good. And yeah, I'm pretty excited. There's a lot going on, and I'm more excited than I am upset. So,
yeah. It's still a really weird time to be talking about Cata. Not going to lie, but it
is. But
it is what it is.
Had to be done. So next week we'll be back to talking about Wrath. We're gonna go ahead and close out the show. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter.
You're gonna tell them about the giveaway or no?
What giveaway? Oh yeah. Well, because they haven't confirmed and given it to me yet, so I didn't want to.
Okay.
We might be doing a giveaway next week live to people in chat. So definitely check us out live at twitch.tv/BlazinBob, BLAZZINBOB. Definitely check us out live and follow us on Twitter at WC Reloaded to for sure know when we go live, because the show does vary Friday nights and sometimes Saturday or Saturday nights. So definitely make sure you're there for that, because it's possible we're going to have a cool little giveaway for you. And it's very possible that both of these guys are going to have that same one for you coming too in a different way. So, all right. And then if you want to send us an email, it's wcrpodcast@gmail.com. If you'd like to join the Mash Those Buttons Discord, it's mash.gg/Discord. We need more ratings and reviews. We've run out of them. We can't read them on the show if you don't put them in. So iTunes ratings and reviews are appreciated. You can also leave them at bonusroll.gg. All right. And then please consider supporting us on Patreon, patreon.com/Warcraft Reloaded, or just search Warcraft Reloaded on the Patreon website. Link will be in the description below. Mel, where can we find you?
You can find me in game on Mel Arena. That's all. Or on the show.
Awesome.
I stopped giving out my Twitter because I didn't respond to somebody for like 8 months. So I felt like I should not even tell people I do that.
Oh, fair. And then where can we find you, ScotteJaye?
Normally, round the back of the bins, dribbling because I've drunk too much and collapsed. I mean, that's generally where I would appreciate everybody finding me, actually, because sometimes it's a struggle getting home. Yeah, it's ScotteJaye on YouTube, ScotteJaye87 on Twitch.
Awesome. And WillE, where can we find you?
WillE on YouTube, and I never really post on Twitter, but at MMO WillE.
Awesome. All right. And you can find me on Twitter at Blazin_Bob. That's BLAZIN_BOB. You can find me on Twitch and this show on Twitch at twitch.tv/BlazinBob. Definitely come out and hang out. It is a WoW giveaway. So most likely we will be doing it. But until I have it in my hand, I just can't tell you. I can't promise you. But I would show up anyway because it's a really good gift. All right, guys, we're getting out of here. See you guys.
Goodbye.
Cheers. Thank you, guys.
Thanks all.
Thank you very much for checking out Warcraft Reloaded podcast. Make sure to like and subscribe and hit that bell so you don't miss any future content.